pick is open again, and he makes it 3 in a row.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba! Truly a Mickey 3 there, but into the box for Espeleta. Espeleta with the cross, inside and in for Rogers.
Sends one on goal, and he scores! Jonah Copre scores for the second time tonight.
And it is a power play goal!
Rowan heading for the touchpad with the lead, and the Props will take the men's 400-yard freestyle relay.
Collins running out of real estate, heads back upfield, 25 to the 30, the 35 to 40, the 45 to 50. He has only Komolowski to beat. Gets through him, the 10, and touchdown for Collins.
Johnson to the back end, trying to go to the front, makes the move and shot, and he scores!
Johnson to LaFaro, corner three-pointer, splash!
Bada bing, bada boom! Everyone's going crazy in the room!
From the Joseph F. Fosina Field in New Rochelle, New York, the PDF Sports Network is proud to welcome you to the final day of the Elite Football Alliance season as we bring you coverage of the 2022 championship between the Harlem Gators and the Brooklyn Pharaohs. Good afternoon, everyone, and with about 25 minutes to go or so until kickoff, this is the PDF Sports Network pregame show. I'm David Pizzuto alongside Joe Foreman, and Joe, the EFA postseason started last week. We were there for the Gators semifinal game against the Demon Knights. The Pharaohs got through the Bears. Tough sledding for both of those teams, but they've been on a collision course all year long, as you mentioned last week, and here they are, 60 more minutes of football.
Well, 3 months after the season began, right here, back in July, we are back at Joseph F. Fosina Field for the Elite Football Alliance Championship. And you said it, Dave, bit of tough sledding for these two teams last weekend. We had the Gators taking on the Empire State Demon Knights in the Bronx. The Gators won that game 16-0. It was a bit of a rocky road to the finish for Harlem, but their defense was fantastic in that game. As for the Pharaohs, they survived a big scare from the New York Bears. They won that game 8-6 in dramatic fashion in the final seconds.
Absolutely. Both teams, again, tough games during the semifinal. They both saw each other once during the season, Joe. The Pharaohs defeated the Gators on the Gators' home field. The Gators defeated the Pharaohs on the Pharaohs' home field. This is the third, quote, rubber game of the series on a neutral site. It's the third time both of these teams have played on this field. Joe, it's hard to imagine either one of these teams has an advantage here. They seem split directly down the middle. The standings show that as well.
They certainly do. And taking a look at what team may have the advantage going into this game, let's take a quick look back at last weekend. As I mentioned, a 16-0 victory for the Gators over Empire State. But in that game, the Harlem offense, as I mentioned, only put up 16 points. Their defense was fantastic. Something that really stood out to me during that game that they may need to correct were the red zone turnovers, a lot of turnovers inside the Empire State 20-yard line, but what they did on defense against the run game, a major positive for them. As for the Pharaohs, they're a team that showed us all season long they can really put up the points. They only scored 8 last week against the New York Bears. Their lone touchdown came on special teams. A kick return late in that game. They held the Bears to 6 points. New York got down toward the goal line. We're in the red zone during the final seconds, but that game ended on a 10-second runoff after the Bears had an illegal procedure ahead of a snap. That 10-second runoff ended the game with New York well within striking distance of a game-winning touchdown. So 2 very entertaining games last week, but taking a look at those 2 results and how those games played out, definitely some things for both of these teams to improve upon and some other positives to take from those wins.
Absolutely. We will talk to both head coaches before the game today, part of our extended pregame show here on the PDF Sports Network. But, Joe, let's look at each team. You mentioned a little bit about them already, but for the Gators, they come in technically as the top seed. We know of their prolific offense, but you said it. Defensively, they were stout last weekend. They held the Demon Knights, obviously, to no points, but big stops on 4th down. They got their blitz involved in the game, something they don't do as often as some other teams. And if they play defense the way they did last week, again here today, this will be a tough one for the Pharaohs to get over.
And you're absolutely right about that, Dave. Their defense in last week's game was fantastic. They were clearly very well prepared for what Empire State brought to the table offensively. On the first drive, the Demon Knights really looked to spread the field. They looked to throw short and get the ball out quickly. The Gators very quickly were able to adjust to that. And on the second drive of the game for Empire State, following a turnover on their first drive, they had nothing in the passing game. And whenever Empire State looked to run, the Gators swallowed up the back in the backfield for losses. Empire State had a very hard time running for positive yardage in that game. Really could not pass the football at all following the first drive of the game. It was a tremendous performance for the Gators defensively last week.
And as for the Brooklyn Pharaohs, Joe, the last time you and I saw the Pharaohs up close, they scored 74 points against the Legion. This is a team that could score a lot of points, Joe. They could score them in bunches and in a hurry, and they do it via the run, via the pass. And, Joe, last week, as you mentioned, a special teams touchdown was the thing that clinched it for them, so they beat you in all three categories.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Dave. On offense, on defense, and as we've seen more than once this season already, on special teams. You saw it during our introduction to the broadcast. Davin Collins had a big kick return in the Week 1 game for a touchdown. The Pharaohs did not score an offensive touchdown in that Week 1 game against the Bears until about the midway point of the fourth quarter. They went on to win that game by 2 scores, but this Pharaohs team, a team that we know for sure can put up points. They broke an Elite Football Alliance record for points scored in a game earlier this season. We had coverage of that matchup with the New York Legion right here on the PDF Sports Network. I don't think we'll be seeing a record-breaking offensive performance in this game. Just a hunch. These two teams have played 2 very low-scoring games this year, but I think we certainly have an exciting matchup in store here for the Elite Football Alliance Championship.
Yeah, Gators won the opening game between these two teams 20-16. That was way back in Week 2 of the season. A few weeks later, the Pharaohs returned the favor on Gators' home turf. Final score of that one, 18-14. So we certainly do expect to see 2 rather low-scoring games. And Joe, by virtue of that Pharaohs win against the Gators towards the later part of the season, the Pharaohs come in with the longest winning streak in the EFA, 7 straight wins if you include the playoff win last week against the Bears. And they are the defending champs after all. So psychologically, do they come in with the advantage in this one?
Perhaps they do. They have that championship experience of the most recent variety. They were in the championship game last season. They did take the win in that game, so they are looking for a repeat as the Elite Football Alliance champions. We will see what the Pharaohs can do against this Gators team that, as you mentioned already, they split their 2 meetings this year against the Harlem Gators. And for Harlem, they are looking to avenge a defeat against the Pharaohs in their last game against Brooklyn. The most recent matchup between these two teams went to the Pharaohs. The Gators will look to take this so-called rubber match between these two sides.
Absolutely. So, Joe, the stage is set. Our two teams continue to do their final pregame preparations. And when we come back from our first break, we visit with today's head coaches, and we'll give you some more thoughts from the EFA as they get ready for the 5th EFA championship in league history. It's coming up on the PDF Sports Network pregame show for this, the 2022 EFA championship. Stay with us.
This broadcast of the Elite Football Alliance is being brought to you by the Three Bleezies Entertainment Group on the Three Bleezies Facebook page. Catch the Three Bleezies weekly show as well as live recordings and all the opinions and all the unfiltered hot topics you've come to love about semi-pro. It's the resource for the EFA and semi-pro talk from the official source for all things Bleezy. The Three Bleezies Facebook page. Visit it now. Mundo, yeah, yeah.
Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance.
You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman.
You Know I'm Right is the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, entertainment, and pop culture. On the show, hosts Nick and Joe walk guests through the retelling of their humble beginnings, covering an array of topics from specific interests and hobbies to personal opinions regarding each facet of their industry. You Know I'm Right offers insight on how to adapt and advance, and offers alternative advice as opposed to a one-size-fits-all strategy. Above all else, the number one goal of You Know I'm Right is to offer listeners an exclusive behind-the-scenes vantage point not found anywhere else through its increasing list of professional connections. With a following that continues to grow daily, You Know I'm Right is transforming into a must-listen podcast in the right place at the right time. Find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. You do not want to miss an episode of You Know I'm Right.
And we are back here on the PDF Sports Network with coverage of the Elite Football Alliance Championship game. As promised ahead of our last break, we have sent Dave down to the field. We have coverage of Dave's conversation with Gators head coach David Patterson, so I will turn it over to Dave for his interview with the head coach of the Harlem Gators right now.
All right, Joe, I'm here with Harlem Gators head coach David Patterson. And Coach, first and foremost, we covered your game last week, a 16-0 win against the Demon Knights. Plenty of great defense in that game, a lot of fourth down stops. Tell us a little bit about that defensive performance and how it can carry over into today.
The defensive performance, we counted on them, and when it was time to lock things down because our offense was struggling, especially in the red zone, they locked it down. The thing about this team is that the offense sometimes is operating on, as you saw, very high cylinders, and the defense struggles, so we get into these high-scoring affairs. And then sometimes it's the opposite, and you end up with what, for us is considered an ugly score, like a 16-0, where the defense holds it down and the offense sputters. But the bottom line is left side of the column for the Gators, and that's it.
That's right. A win is a win, and a win it was last week. 16-0 over the Demon Knights puts you into this championship against the Pharaohs. You split the season series with them, seen them plenty against other teams as well. What do you know about the Pharaohs as far as what they do well? What do you need to stop, and what do you need to do well in order to come out of here with the W?
Obviously, it's big plays. You have to stop their playmakers. They get these explosive plays for large chunks of yardage. We got to get them down and get to the next down. We obviously, going back to last week, can't turn the ball over, especially the red zone. We would end up having a different opponent today had the Bears converted in the red zone. I think it was like 3 or 4 times that they were there. They weren't able to get it done, and today, again, we're going to be focused on getting into the red zone, and not only that, but finishing drives. Just like a microcosm of the season, you got to finish. It doesn't matter if you end up with 8 wins. It's the 9th win that matters. Nothing matters today other than this one.
Absolutely. And speaking of something that matters, something that's mattered heavily with this team all year long, Coach, is, of course, the memory of Coach Hickman, Coach D. He's been the undercurrent to this team's progress all year long. How has that really buoyed this team throughout the season, and what will it mean to win this game for Coach D?
Oh, it would mean the world to win this for Coach D. All year we've been using it as a rallying cry, especially in just a time where over the last 3 years there's been so much despair and so many people that we've lost one way or another. I think that when we put together this season in general, it was absolutely in his memory and his spirit. But even above that, what he was about was giving these guys an escape from those type of things where they, in their community, they suffered loss, whether it's a parent that might be incarcerated or the loss of a loved one. He provided the stability for our guys to, continue on and be dynamic, not only football players, but dynamic human beings. And kind of hearing some of the stuff, I was going through the catalog of some of his sound bites. What really stood out from his service was guys saying, this man did things for me that my father never did for me, that my brothers never did for me, my uncles never did for me. Other coaches that just wanted me to be a good football player, to score points, they didn't even do it for me. Coach D provided that, and I think it's my responsibility to uphold that tradition and just carry the torch for the man.
Well, it's been a terrific season so far, Coach, and of course, 60 minutes of football separate you from what could be an EFA championship. Good luck to you and the guys today, and wish for the best.
Appreciate it.
All right, Joe, we'll send it back up to you. Harlem Gators coach David Patterson.
Big test for Coach Patterson and his Gators coming up in just a few short minutes as they take on the Brooklyn Pharaohs in the Elite Football Alliance Championship. However, ahead of kickoff, we have one final interview for you as Dave was joined by head coach of the Pharaohs, Julius Huesner. So we'll turn it over to Dave once again as he speaks with the head coach of the Brooklyn Pharaohs.
Okay, here now with Pharaohs head coach Julius Huesner. And Coach, this season's been a great one for the Pharaohs. You guys have the league's longest winning streak right now, but the goal all year long has been to get back here to the championship and repeat as champions. Tell me a little bit about the mindset of the team coming in and the confidence level that the guys have.
The mindset of the guys is to make sure that they play assignment football, not make any mistakes, play as hard as they can. We've done a bit of film study this week to make sure that we're prepared. So that's kind of where we are, to make sure that we're prepared for the game.
Excellent. And last week you ground out hard-nosed victory against the Bears, won it late, held on. What does a tough, hard-fought win like that in the semifinals do for your team in preparation for a team like the Gators?
To make sure that we're always calm and that we're always mentally prepared and ready for any situation that may potentially come up. The calmer you stay late in the game, the better you will be. So make sure that you pull out that victory. So sometimes some people get rattled late in the game. You start seeing sidelines flip out. So we just want to make sure that we stay as calm as possible. But I mean, we've been at this for almost a decade now.
Sure. And as far as your opponent today, the Gators, you got to see them twice during the season. You exchanged victories. One at their place. They got you at your place earlier in the season. I'm sure you've seen film, as you mentioned before.
Yes.
What are the things that they do well that you have to stop today? And conversely, what does your team have to do well to get out of here with a W?
They're a big play offense. Defensively, they are able to put pressure on you with their front four. They're not a blitz-heavy team. So if we're able to limit the big plays, make sure that we take care of our assignments, I think we'll be okay.
One thing that every EFA team knew, in order to win a championship, you got to go through the Pharaohs. The defending champs are looking to repeat today. Coach Julius, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, Joe, back to you upstairs.
And head coach Julius Huesner of the Brooklyn Pharaohs joining Dave down on the field. He and his team are less than 5 minutes away from kickoff as they will be taking on the Harlem Gators in the Elite Football Alliance Championship. So at this time, we'll give Dave a chance to get back up here into the booth. He will have the call on play-by-play this evening. Once again, this is Joe Foreman for the PDF Sports Network. When Dave rejoins me up here in the booth, we have coverage of the Elite Football Alliance Championship game. Brooklyn Pharaohs and Harlem Gators coming up next.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life's lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
Right here, baby. Look. Uma.
Something more than a birthday is happening here. Once you can see it, you can help. The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference for your child. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
I'm a first-generation Filipino American. You don't always feel you're a part of the country you live in. It's this weird middle space sometimes that you have to live inside of. But when you meet others that are also living in that space, you'll learn to know that it's its own unique space too.
Welcome back to Joseph F. Facina Field here in New Rochelle, the 2022 EFA Championship. Of course, EFA officials there at midfield as well, and we will see how this shakes out. But, Joe, just to talk about, again, the matchup, we know that this is bound to be a low-scoring game. We know that defensively big plays are going to be made. So what are the keys to the game if you're the Gators, especially having seen what they did during the semifinal last week?
If you're the Gators, my first priority in this game after last week, protect the football. Do not give the football away in the red zone. We saw a lot of red zone turnovers last week for Harlem. I believe it was 2 or 3. Definitely more than they would have liked. They have to protect the football down in the red zone. They can't afford to be giving away possessions in scoring range. And for the Gators last week, we spoke about it already during the pregame. They were extremely good on defense. Really not much to clean up in that aspect. They were tremendous against the run and limited the pass for Empire State. That being said, Empire State hasn't passed it too well so far this season. This Gators secondary will be much more tested against this Brooklyn Pharaohs team here this afternoon. We've seen how prolific they can be. The Demon Knights, of course, a run-first team, and we saw how well the Gators handled that.
Absolutely. And conversely, Joe, you are the Pharaohs. You are the defending champs. You've been kind of 1 and 1A with the Gators all season long. You kind of feel like you're the number 1 seed, but you come in as the number 2. Maybe a little bit of that chip on their shoulder. What do they have to do to get past the Gators today?
If you're Brooklyn, you have to get off to a faster start. We saw it against the New York Bears. The Brooklyn offense wasn't great early in that game. They allowed the Bears to hang around all the way into the fourth quarter. And then last week, once again, the Pharaohs, not a great start offensively, and it was more than a poor start on offense. They did not score a point on offense, with the exception of a 2-point conversion in the fourth quarter following a touchdown on special teams. They have to be better through the first 3 quarters. This Gators team could run away with this game.
Absolutely. So we will see what the result of that coin toss was in just a few moments. Both teams are taking their final huddles before they get out there on the field. Joe, why don't we take one more quick break as you see the Gators huddled around Coach D. We mentioned that with Coach Patterson earlier. We'll take one more break, Joe. When we come back, opening kickoff here, the 2022 EFA Championship between the Pharaohs and the Gators is coming up next.
This broadcast of the Elite Football Alliance is being brought to you by the Three Bleezies Entertainment Group on the Three Bleezies Facebook page. Catch the Three Bleezies weekly show as well as live recordings and all the opinions and all the unfiltered hot topics you've come to love about semi-pro. It's the resource for the EFA and semi-pro talk from the official source for all things Bleezy. The Three Bleezies Facebook page. Visit it now. Mundo, yeah, yeah.
Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance.
the 2022 EFA Championship. We are just moments away as you see the Gators breaking up their huddle deep into the end zone. Soccer posts being removed here, and we are just about ready for opening kickoff. Joe, looks like we have the result of that coin toss. The Pharaohs will be getting the ball first and back deep immediately with two of their playmakers. Let's just put it that way. They score a lot of points for this team, and they do it a lot on special teams, just like you mentioned. We talked about your keys to the game for each team, Joe, but both of these teams made some errors last week, and certainly they want to do some things, but they also need to avoid some things today as well.
I mentioned it already for the Gators. They have to avoid turnovers. For the Pharaohs, they have to avoid a slow start. And looking to help them avoid that slow start will be a couple of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. Kareem Williams, a dual-threat quarterback. He was second on the team in rushing this season, not by a wide margin. He also completed 61% of his passes for over 1,100 yards on the year. He was fantastic at the quarterback position. We saw what he can do with both his arm and his legs when the Pharaohs took on the New York Legion in that record-setting offensive performance earlier this year. A player that I don't believe we have covered this year is the leading rusher for the Pharaohs, number 23, Dante Aiken. He rushed for nearly 300 yards this season, averaging almost 10 yards per carry. Paul Hunter also involved in the running game for the Pharaohs. We definitely saw him this year. And on special teams, look out for Davin Collins. He got some reps at running back last time we covered the Pharaohs. He also works as a defensive back for this Brooklyn team.
And he's one of the guys back deep for the Pharaohs, as well as another guy whose name we've called a lot, Takari Mims. This one is going to be kicked short and directly out of bounds. So looked like that was an intentional kick out of bounds, Joe, particularly to avoid the lethal return game of this Pharaohs team. And so the Pharaohs will start 1st and 10 at their own 40.
Well, speaking of the return game for this Pharaohs team, I mentioned Collins. How about that punt return touchdown that wasn't for Takari Mims against the Legion? That made the highlight reel. It did not ultimately put any points on the board, but the play was so electric that we had to include it.
Yeah, we've seen between you and I and you and Nick Durst being on these calls, we've seen so many great plays, but I think that is in the top 3 for me as far as highlight plays. That went from being a blocked punt that could have been dangerous for the Pharaohs, turned out to be an explosive offensive play. And I don't care that there was a penalty on it, Joe. That was still a great play.
No doubt about it. We had a great call on it as well. I could not believe what I had seen after that play occurred, and I'm not sure the Legion could believe it either. They did receive the benefit of the penalty marker negating the touchdown, but an electric play in the return game for the Pharaohs. That's something that we're becoming more and more accustomed to seeing from this Brooklyn team as we cover them more this season. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 3rd time we have covered Brooklyn. So we get our first look at them against this Gators defense right here.
Right, so the first time we saw the Pharaohs was the first time we saw the Gators, which was on opening day on this field, exactly 3 months to the day, as Joe mentioned during pregame. And we added, of course, that 74-6 win over the Legion towards the second half of the season as well. So huge explosive game that time. The Pharaohs will operate with 4 wide receivers, and coming in motion was Doumbia, and the give is underneath right up the middle, and scampering for a first down will be the Pharaohs. Number 22 Shaquille Black gets 23 Dante Aiken should know better.
Well, I highlighted Aiken averaging nearly 10 yards per carry, and that one about a yard or two short of a first down. A great start on the ground for Aiken. And this Brooklyn offense, I mentioned how well Harlem played against the run last weekend. Not a good start in that department here this afternoon.
Right, and that was right through the teeth of the defensive line. Gets so caught up in the terrific quarterback play of Reem Williams. We forget sometimes about this run game as Aiken dives forward for a gain of about 5 yards on that play. So it'll be a 2nd down and 5. I'm sorry, Joe, that's a first down as he was a little bit short on that first one. So fresh set of downs here.
How about this? Brooklyn looking to come out and run the football early. Wasn't sure they'd come out looking to run after what we saw the Demon Knights encounter last week with that stout front of this Gators defense, but Brooklyn not hesitant to put the ball on the ground these first 2 plays.
We know how much the Pharaohs like to go over top of defenses too. Maybe this is to get the Gators to cheat up a little bit in the box, which they do. Lots of early movement. The Gators are saying that they drew the offense offside with that rush in. I don't know about that, Joe. We'll see. It'll be false start on the offense, indeed. Gators were coming in hot no matter what. And it got the Pharaohs backpedaling before the start of the play.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Harlem had seen enough out of the Brooklyn running game. They were looking to bring extra rushers into the box and swallow up a run at the line of scrimmage, and they couldn't get there as a result of the false start call. Fortunately so for the Pharaohs that play was blown dead.
1st and 15 will now be the call. Once again, the Pharaohs will still go with 4 wide receivers. Aiken now to the right of Williams. Gators at least show blitz now with 6 in the box. They send 5 of them, and there's a short pass on the slant. That is going to go for another first down, and the ball is out. The Gators are saying they got it. Mims was brought to the ground, and he is still up and running with it. There was no whistle on the play, and this will go to the house for a touchdown.
Well, that ball came out very late, Dave, and the Pharaohs certainly thought that play should have been blown dead. Was the recovering player touchdown? We have a lot of questions after that. As you see, it is officially a Harlem Gators touchdown to open the scoring, and we will get a look at it here on replay.
Yeah, and it was picked up and celebrating with it and not knowing that the play was over. That was number 5, right, Joe? Devin Hull. It was really hard to pick up the numbers with the black on black jerseys, black numbers on black jerseys, but we will see. The Pharaohs are not really moving. The Pharaohs still believe that it's their ball.
What a difficult call this is going to be for the officials. I do not envy them at all, as it looks like the Brooklyn offense is going to remain on the field. Now, if that ball is coming out at all on the way down, that is a fumble by Mims. We'll see if we can get one more look at it in just a couple of moments. Take that touchdown off the board, as the Brooklyn offense will remain out on the field. Here's another look at that replay.
Yeah, we will see. It's really hard to tell. It did look like Mims was down at least. I didn't see the ball come up as he was going down. If we slowed it down, we'll maybe see that a little bit later in the game. But that could be a huge play because it was actually a big play for the offense with the Pharaohs on their first pass of the day. 1st down and 10 from the 28-yard line of the Gators. The give is underneath once again to Aiken. There are flags down on the far side of the field. Aiken popped up ahead for about a gain of 2. That ball again came out a little bit late. But this looks like it might be procedural or another holding penalty here for the Pharaohs.
Well, after looking at that last replay a bit more closely, I think that ball was wrestled away from Mims after he was down. I think the ball was ripped out of his arms after he had made contact with the turf. I think they ultimately get it right. And I would not have wanted to be one of those officials if that play had stood, because you would have had a lot of angry Pharaohs just minutes into this game.
Yeah, and we got kind of caught, Joe, looking at the replay when they determined ultimately that Mims was down and gave the ball back to the Pharaohs at the 28.
Well, that was decided at least 30 seconds after the touchdown had been scored. The celebration was well underway for the Gators on their sideline.
After the penalty, it's a 1st and 5 as the Gators were caught coming in early at the line of scrimmage. Aiken this time to the left of Williams. And it is a delayed handoff to Aiken. Tries to make one man miss and is able to shuttle to inside the 20, about the 19. So we are going to be 2nd and short here. Looks like a 2nd and 2, a long 2 coming up.
One pass by this Brooklyn offense and right back to the running game that time. Bit of a delayed toss out of the shotgun, not a conventional look out of the shotgun on that toss to the back. Aiken, he's been busy on this first drive and has run well to this point. He has his team inside of the red zone, looking for the first score of the EFA championship.
In case you joined us late, this is the opening drive of the game. A fumble that was ruled a fumble on the field was later called back. Pharaohs still in business. Another flag is down, another delay in the backfield, but getting wrapped up were the Pharaohs and nothing doing. Either way, the Pharaohs are motioning that this was another offside against the Gators, and if it is, it will give the Pharaohs an automatic first down, and it will.
Bit of a sloppy start for this Harlem defensive front. A couple of offsides penalties here, moving the chains for Brooklyn as they draw closer and closer to the end zone. They've only had to put the ball in the air once, as we've already mentioned, have kept it on the ground, have run it well, and just going back to that last play for one quick moment, Williams is wrapped up. That's not a hit you want him to take either. Fortunately, the whistle blew.
4 wide receivers in the game now on 1st and 10, and another flag is down. It looks like there may have been some Gators on the field of play, and so they might get caught with too many men on the field. And we'll see if they advance this ball here or if that was a warning to the Gators, because I don't see the ball moving at all. So it's going to be 1st and 10 still. At least verbally, I heard the head referee warn the Gators sideline. 1st and 10, ball's at about the 18-yard line. The give once again on the inside draw and getting closer now. Gain of about 3 or 4 on the play, so it'll be a 2nd down and 6. Kind of hard to pick up the hash marks here from this angle, Joe. We are about at the 30-yard line, away from the line of scrimmage. So it's more of a gain of 1 on the play, so 2nd down and 9. It's been all about the run here on the opening drive for the Pharaohs. Their one pass went for their longest play. Set them up just outside the red zone. Once again, the give is underneath and untouched until he scampers inside the 5. Looked like Paul Hunter got the run that time for the first time. And it's going to be a 1st and goal at about the 1.5-yard line.
How about that spin move here by Hunter? You'll get a second look at it as he spins into the second level, got taken down just a bit short of the goal line, but the Pharaohs now right on the doorstep of taking an early lead.
Ball officially spotted at about the 4 as they moved that ball back from where Hunter ultimately ended up, falling forward. Low snap. Williams able to pick it up and dishes out into the flat, and extending closer was Doumbia on his first catch as he was flared out. And we will have a 2nd and goal from in a little closer. Now the ball is at about the 1.5-yard line, maybe the 2.
That's a nice job by the Gators defensively, as you'll see right here. They rally to make that tackle just short of the end zone as Doumbia did reach for the goal line. He's taken down, and Pharaohs will have to run at least one more play to try and get into the end zone for the first time here.
2nd down and goal. It is Hunter still in the backfield, but that snap was fumbled. Late flags come in well after the whistle, as the Gators might have gotten in there a little bit late against Williams once he went down and pounced on that ball.
Well, you'll see in the NFL, if the tackling player lands with their body weight on the quarterback, they will call a penalty. That may have been what happened there. That flag did come in, though, a short while after that play was blown dead. It is a penalty against the Gators. The question is, automatic first down or not? I do believe the sticks may have been changed to reflect a first down. So tough to tell.
Yes.
Dave, you have the binoculars.
It is 1st and goal from in closer. So if the ball was at about the 2, it is closer to the 1 now.
How long has this drive been? Pharaohs methodically marching down the field on the back of their running game, assisted by some Gators penalties.
But they'll have 4 turns at it here. Coming in motion is Doumbia, And it is going to be the toss to the right side. The Gators are all over it as Hunter moves the pile forward maybe a couple of inches, but he's still going to be a couple of yards short. 2nd and goal.
You said it, Dave. We have a really tough angle to distinguish where the ball is being spotted and to read the yard markers. It looks like they're at about the 4 based on where the far official was standing at the end of that play. Now, it looks like we do have an injury as well in the end zone. One of the Gator is down.
Yeah, one of the Gators. So this is an official timeout on the field. So, Joe, while the player gets tended to, why don't we step out for a quick 30-second break? When we come back, more first drive of the game action. No score between the Pharaohs and the Gators. Football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman. You can't have football. Opening drive of the game. Welcome back. Opening drive of the game for the Pharaohs. That was cut short due to an injury. And when we come back, it will be 2nd and goal from about the 2.5, 3-yard line. And, yeah, it's been a war of attrition down here close, Joe. Not much room here for the Pharaohs. They've committed themselves to the run, but the Gators have been up to the task so far.
They sure have, and I'll tell you, Dave, if the Pharaohs do not get into the end zone on this drive, the momentum completely shifts back to the side of Harlem early in this game. That is not a position you want to find yourselves in if you're Brooklyn.
Aiken is back in at running back for the Pharaohs. Motion man. And the give is Williams is going to take it himself, and he, too, comes up empty in his dive forward. Again, very minimal yardage gained on the play. Maybe a gain of a half yard gets him to the 2. And it will be a 3rd down and goal.
The Gators not conceding an inch down here around the goal line. It normally becomes harder to pass from in this close. The Gators have really shored up their rushing defense in close right now. And Brooklyn is in a position here where they may be forced to put the ball in the air. And if you're the Pharaohs, you have to avoid a costly turnover at all costs. A turnover on downs, not the worst thing in this area of the field.
3rd and goal officially from the 3. Williams will go back to pass. He's looking in the flare towards the pylon. The catch is made for the touchdown. Arzu with the flare on the out pattern. Extended and had to go up for it, but Williams put it in the perfect place. And it is a 6-0 game.
That was awfully close along that boundary, along the side of the end zone. And, of course, here the Pharaohs will go for 2.
The Pharaohs committing to the run time and again, just could not find it. And it is Arzu and Mims on the right side. And Doumbia lines up in the slot to the left, along with Melia. There is motion right to left. There are flags down everywhere as walking it in was Aiken. We'll see what the flags are for here. But if this stands, the Pharaohs are going to go up 8-0 on their first drive of the game.
The official positioned in the backfield emphatically threw a flag late in the area of holding. The initial flags were for offsides against the defense. So the penalties will offset, and Brooklyn will get another chance here. But I'll tell you, that official in the backfield emphatically threw that flag in late. And as you said, Dave, during the call, 2 flags came in from the sidelines, so no doubt about the offsides. That is the 3rd offsides against the Gators very early in this game, 2 during that Pharaohs drive, and now 1 here on the 2-point conversion.
So they will have to redo the play, and it takes 2 points off the scoreboard. So a costly penalty for now for the Pharaohs. Once again, they decided to give it right up the middle to Aiken. Let's see what they decide to do on this one. Arzu comes in motion. The give once again up the middle. Having to sidestep was Aiken. He was met by a host of Gators, and he will not get in, Joe. So the score remains 6-0.
And I love what I saw from the Gators defensively in the latter portion of that drive. They were much better against the run once the Pharaohs got closer to the end zone. Unfortunately for Harlem, they couldn't close out that drive with a stop, but after a couple of gashers on the ground for Brooklyn to get that drive going, Harlem really did a much better job against the run, down around the goal line, couldn't come up with the 3rd down stop. They need to clean up the penalties on defense, can't afford to keep going off sides ahead of the snap. That really helped the Pharaohs along and moved them down the field a bit more quickly.
And it took a long, healthy while for players to become unpeeled during that last play, and now they finally go to the respective sidelines. But, Joe, for a team that did not score on offense a week ago, that has to be a huge relief for the Pharaohs, who get on the board with their opening drive.
Well, by my estimation, that is the great start Brooklyn was looking for. I'm not sure if Brooklyn won the toss, but they take the opening kickoff, march straight down the field, score a touchdown. They really bucked that trend of slow starts that we've seen from them in the games we've covered. Even against the Legion, they hit a big play. After that, it took them a bit to get going, and once they did, they scored 74 points. This is not a Brooklyn offense that you want to see get going. If you're Harlem, you need to answer back, and on defense, you have to do a better job of avoiding pre-snap penalties. They did a great job against the run later in that drive. If you're Harlem, you hope to carry that into your next possession on defense, but receiving the ball here, if you're the Gators, you need to look for an answer on offense.
Without question here, and the Gators having a hard time setting up on their return team. Now they get a couple of late players coming off as that kick is end over end. It finds the turf, and it is ultimately picked up at about the 20. And with running room, they're able to get it close to the 40-yard line. As that was taken, I believe, by number 15, Shannon James. And the ball officially spotted at the 40, so a 20-yard return off the kickoff, and the Gators will start 1st and 10 from the same yard line that the Pharaohs started their first drive off of. And one thing we know about both the Gators and the Pharaohs is that they have not been behind in many games this season, save for when they played each other. And, of course, we mentioned many times how the Pharaohs were down in their semifinal game for a good, healthy spell of that game, almost 2 full quarters before they scored the late touchdown. And we'll have to see, as they will start with David Ugarte in the shotgun formation. The Gators using a 2-quarterback attack. We have motion here as the Gators look like they left early as Kevin Douglas got ahead by a couple steps. And it'll be 1st and 15.
Well, I spoke about the Gators needing to avoid the pre-snap penalties on defense. They need to do the same on offense. Can't afford to handicap yourself on offense early in this game. Don't want to put yourself in a 1st and very long situation. They face a 1st and 15 here.
Yeah, we say it so many times in so many of the games that we cover. The ability to go forward on 1st down, critical here in the EFA. You don't want to start drives 1st and 15, 1st and 20. That's what Ugarte will have to do as he turns around and gives it straight ahead, a gain of maybe 2. And the Pharaohs all over that play here, and another late flag comes in. And it will be called against the Pharaohs, unsportsmanlike conduct. It was called against number 17, Leon Burke, who, according to the official, came in late. And that's an automatic 1st down.
Let's see if we can catch it here on the replay.
Kind of hard to see. There was a big
I think it was a penalty for a verbal infraction and not a physical infraction. I think he had words for the ball carrier after the whistle. But that could be just speculation on my part. Judging by the replay, I think that was the case.
Burke is lined up as the middle linebacker right in front of the play. Another delayed handoff, this time left side. More flags come in the backfield. This looks like in the vicinity of holding, as that was Collymore on the run, who we saw a lot of last week. I mean, officially in terms of the stats, Joe, we know that they haven't been updated in a couple of weeks, but Collymore did not have a lot of stats going into that semifinal game against the Demon Knights, but he carried the ball a healthy number of times and was very effective last week.
He sure was. A lot of great carries for him, particularly out of the shotgun on delayed handoffs. The Demon Knights really didn't have much of an answer for him when he was in the game, and I think a big part of that is the attention David Ugarte draws at the quarterback position. We know he can throw it. He can certainly put the ball on the ground as well, and if you're the defense for the Pharaohs, you have to respect both quarterback and halfback in the running game.
Collymore stays into the game at halfback on 1st and 20. The second time the Harlem Gators have been whistled for a flag on first down. Ugarte turnaround, and the throw almost picked off as it was off of his intended receiver on the play, 2nd down and 20.
That throw a bit behind the intended target there, and that was nearly disastrous for this Gators offense. Very close to an early interception for the Pharaohs, as this Brooklyn defense, following the personal foul, will look to hold strong as they are backed up to about midfield. Here's a second look at that throw by Ugarte. Not much in terms of pressure. That throw just a bit off target.
Yeah, and this is where they will be tested on the 2nd and long. Do you try and soften up, make it an easier 3rd down via the run? Do they look to go short, maybe utilize the screen here if the Pharaohs bring pressure? Lots to think about. Ugarte this time looks in the other direction and does have his man, and getting it to close to midfield to get about 7 or 8 yards of that back. It's like Forio might have been the receiver, Joe. I'm not quite sure.
I think you're right, Dave. These Gators jerseys, all black with an orange outline on the numbers. Now, the closer they come to the right side of the 50, the easier it becomes for us to read those numbers.
Yeah, it's tough, and the numbers are kind of thin as well, some of the numerals, so it'll be tough at least until we get our views of some of the players. But it's going to be officially a 3rd and 14, Joe. So here's a big play here offensively for the Gators, who work with no running backs in the game. Ugarte looks left. He's under heavy pressure. There's a flag down. Looks to be in the vicinity of holding. Middle of the field and almost picked off, but goes incomplete. So, Joe, the Pharaohs will have a choice. It'll either be a 4th and 14 or a 3rd and 24, because that was holding in the backfield.
And that presents a big question for the Pharaohs. I think you likely decline the penalty and force the Gators to punt. Would the Gators consider going for it from the midfield stripe? How much confidence do they have in their punting game, as it looks like the Pharaohs have accepted that penalty? No, it's declined it. So the Gators offense, for at least a moment, was staying out on the field, but they will send the punting unit and kick this one away.
So down by a score, and with a 4th and 14, the Gators do indeed decide at least to line up for the punt. It will be Mims back deep for the Pharaohs. By now, we all know how deadly he has been with the ball in his hands with open field ahead of him. And we're going to have a timeout, I believe, called by the Gators, as they wanted to get the right personnel in. And so we will have a quick timeout.
We've said it all season long. We have not covered these two teams playing each other, but if you're facing Brooklyn or Harlem, you do not want to fall behind 2 scores. And right now, the Pharaohs are about to be presented with the opportunity to go ahead by a pair of scores. If you're the Gators, do not help out this Brooklyn offense any further with penalties. Make the Pharaohs earn it. The Gators were great against the run later in that opening drive. Appeared it took them a little bit to get their footing under them, but defensively they really tightened up down around the goal line. It was a big pass completion along the back sideline in the end zone from Kareem Williams to Arzu for the Pharaohs touchdown. And if you're the Gators, you need to force the Pharaohs to put the ball in the air a bit more, force those playmakers to beat you. You certainly can't let them run up and down the field.
Yeah, and the Pharaohs have given the Gators a lot to think about, too, because on that first drive, not only do they get points, but they do it really by running the football a great deal. And it's not what we're used to seeing or how we're used to seeing them get down the field so methodically, especially against a defense as stout as the Gators.
And if I'm not mistaken, Williams only had one carry on the opening drive. A lot of the time when this Pharaohs team runs it, it is Williams carrying the football.
It will indeed be punted away to a ball that ends up out of bounds. So no chance for Mims to return this one. Ball will be spotted out at the 23-yard line. So pretty good punt there on the play, about 40 yards with no return. So the Gators will take that any day of the week.
All things considered, not a bad result on that punt for the Gators, as more often than not, drives start at about the 40 when the drive begins following a kickoff. Many kickoffs sent out of bounds, and if not, the returns usually are taken to about somewhere between the 30 and the 40-yard line here in the EFA. So to get your opponent starting inside of the 30, a victory. If you're the Gators, this drive will officially get started from about the 24-yard line, maybe the 23.
And from the 40-yard line all the way until they got to be first and goal, they only ran the one passing play. That was the controversial non-fumble play. And the give is to Aiken once again. Up the gut. He goes right side, off tackle for about 2 or 3. Officially 3, so 2nd and 7 coming up.
And we'll see if the Pharaohs look to keep the ball on the ground and how long the Gators allow them to do so. As I said before, the Gators' run defense improved as Brooklyn moved down the field on their opening drive. We'll see how long it takes before the Pharaohs try and use some play action and perhaps attempt to hit a shot down the field.
They do once again operate out of the shotgun. Aiken this time to the left. The give is to Aiken. He's met by a wall of black jerseys. No gain. In fact, he lost one on the play. 3rd and 8 coming up.
And you can see the Gators punching at that football. Ball security going to be paramount for Aiken in this game. I said it about the Gators during the pregame. They can't afford to be giving the football away. Neither can the Pharaohs. You can't be giving either team the ball down in this area of the field off a turnover. More often than not, they'll make you pay.
So 3rd down and 8. Williams will continue to work out of shotgun, giving some instructions up close and personal to Doumbia on the near side. Movement on the near side with the receiving core. Melia was off, but also the offensive line had a early start, and so 3rd and 8 becomes 3rd and 13.
3rd long becomes 3rd and longer for this Brooklyn offense as they'll move back, and now almost assuredly they'll look to put the ball in the air as if there was any doubt ahead of the 3rd and 8 play. But if you're the Gators now, big opportunity to get off the field, and perhaps more importantly, you force Brooklyn to punt it from deep in their own territory. A lot can go wrong on a punt, and depending on the quality of the Brooklyn punter, who we haven't seen in quite a few weeks, I'm not even sure I could tell you who does punt the football for Brooklyn at this point in the season. Things could go very wrong very fast on a special teams play.
This is also an area where Williams likes to take off himself and maybe roll out or take this one on the ground. We'll see. With the pressure coming, Williams advances in the pocket. He will throw all the way down the field. Doumbia is there. He makes the catch at the 40 and is out of bounds just outside the 30. Huge play.
Khalil Doumbia tiptoes the sideline, and the Gators are very fortunate that he was a bit off balance when he made that incredible catch, because if he was not off balance, he would still be running. He would have been in for a touchdown. Here's another look. What a throw by Williams on the run, right on the money. There was not a big window to put that football, and he dropped the dime into the arms of Khalil Doumbia. Just like that, the Pharaohs are deep into Gators territory and threatening to score yet again.
I'm not sure if something happened at the end of that. It looks like the end of the first quarter, Joe. It is. So we are through 1 quarter complete. It is the Pharaohs 6 and driving, and the Gators nothing. We'll step aside for a quick break, come back with second quarter action. Start of the second quarter here. After the big play, turns out Doumbia was out of bounds at about the 39-yard line. Williams tucks it, looks in the flat, but that one is incomplete, looking in the direction of Quay Mosby that time. But on that last throw, Joe, that ball was in the air about 40 yards with Williams on the move as well. And you said it, a pinpoint pass down the field to Doumbia on a 3rd and 13.
That's probably as impressive a throw on the run as we've seen all season. I'm not sure we've seen a throw on the move any better than that. Not only did he make that throw on the run, he had the defense in hot pursuit.
Right, and it's not like there was bad coverage on the play either. And Doumbia did have a step, but 40 yards down the field, that takes a brilliant throw, and it was. The give underneath. Once it gets to Aiken, he finds some daylight on the left side. He's closing on the first down marker and has it. 25 and rushed out at about the 23-yard line. Pick up a 13 on the play.
We've already spoken about how dynamic Aiken is on the ground. How about the blocking by this offensive line of the Pharaohs? The Gators have to know what's coming on most of these plays. Brooklyn has not made any mystery about it. They're looking to run the football, and despite that, this Brooklyn offensive line is managing to win the battle up front more often than not. There you see another big run for Aiken. He's been great. So is his offensive line. Brooklyn will take this next snap from the Harlem 22-yard line. Chance of defense from the Gators sideline here as Williams comes out in the shotgun. 4 receivers wide, spread set, and Brooklyn will call timeout as Williams saw something that he didn't like. And the Gators sideline bringing the energy right here as looks like James Cole is trying to fire up his teammates along the near side. Harlem continues to be backed up toward their own end zone. It has been about as good of a start for this Brooklyn offense as they could have asked for. Pharaohs marched straight down the field on their first drive, only threw 2 passes. One big completion to Kyrie Mims that was initially ruled a fumble and a Gators touchdown on the recovery. That ruling was overturned after the officials conferred with one another. The only other pass that was thrown by Brooklyn on that opening drive was a pass into the flat, just inside of the 5. And the intended receiver, or I should say, the receiver on the play, Doumbia, who did make the catch, was taken down short of the end zone after reaching for the goal line. But another big passing play on a 3rd down and long for Brooklyn on this drive set them up inside of Harlem territory at the end of the first quarter. We are just about a minute or two into quarter number 2, with Brooklyn leading Harlem by a score of 6-0. Coming out of this timeout, Pharaohs have it. So a 3rd and long for Brooklyn. More chance of defense from the Harlem sideline here. Williams takes the snap, has good protection, rolls right. He's forced to scramble, uses his blockers, and a big tackle is made as Williams was taken down by the ankles. That was Tyreek Noble with the big tackle, and that will set up 4th down.
That is not an easy play to make if you're Tyreek Noble, who made a great play last week in chasing down Christian Grizzle and keeping him from scoring a touchdown in that semifinal game. But like you said, Joe, now a 4th and long for the Pharaohs, who converted a 3rd and very long earlier. Now we'll have to try and do it on 4th down. Pharaohs with a 6-0 lead. In case you joined us, a 3-yard touchdown pass from Williams to Arzu in the game's first quarter. We are in quarter number 2 here. 4th down and 12. Williams, straight shotgun, goes back to pass, looking potentially end zone, and Mims has it at about the 1. Mims went up and got it in between a pair of defenders.
What a grab by Kyrie Mims. It doesn't get much more difficult than that. A high ball in between a safety and a cornerback. He was hit hard as he brought that one in, held on after making contact with the turf. What a catch.
And on 1st and goal, Williams going to take it himself, but he is wrapped up and taken down for a heavy loss at about the 5-yard line. Loss of 4 on the play, as the play was made by Noble once again, who makes the second stop against Williams on this drive. 2nd and goal from the 5. Huge set of downs right here for the Pharaohs. And if you're the Gators, you could taste getting off the field on 4th down and 12. From the 26-yard line, they convert a 25-yard pass. Now the Gators looking to stay stout, which they have been here inside the 10. It took a fresh set of downs in the last drive for the Pharaohs to get in. Now looking right side in that one in the direction of Mims, but well behind them, about 5 or 6 yards behind the play. Mims was double covered, and that's a pretty safe thing to do if you're the Gators here, as Mims is that red zone threat. It'll be 3rd and goal from the 5.
Well, you can't blame Williams for looking that way yet again, as Mims made that incredible catch just moments ago. Good job there by the Gators to make sure he couldn't make another tough catch along the back line in the end zone.
So this is the first drive of the second quarter, an extension of the Pharaohs getting the ball via the punt from the Gators, which pinned them back pretty deep. But the Pharaohs convert a 3rd and 13 on this drive and a 4th and 12 on this drive. They now have a 3rd and goal from the 5, a chance to make it a 2-score game. Williams fakes the run inside, looking corner fade in the end zone, and it is caught. It is caught once again by Doumbia. Put it on his back shoulder, and the Pharaohs are up 12-0.
And how about the way Williams is spreading the ball around? Arzu, Mims, Doumbia all getting involved early in this game with big grabs. That one goes for a touchdown. We've spoken about how well the Pharaohs have run the ball early. Now Williams is showing what he can do with his arm. It was an exhibition in running on drive 1 and an aerial show from Williams here on drive number 2.
And perhaps that first initial step by Williams in the pocket, pretending he was going to tuck it down and run, may have frozen the defensive backfield just a little bit. But that ball was placed high and outside for Doumbia, who made the great catch. Williams back to pass again. Looks middle of the end zone, but again, a little too far extended for Mims, and the score remained 12-0.
And we know how important these 2-point tries can be later in the game. Of course, the Pharaohs hope they don't lament failing on their first 2 attempts as they went for 2. But if you're the Gators, at the very least, you came up with those 2 stops on the conversion attempts. Now you need to get something going on offense. You certainly can't afford to fall behind by any more. How early does the pressure really begin to hit home for this Gators offense?
Well, judging by the body language, Joe, maybe it's hitting home now. Players getting back to the sideline a little bit slower than they did the first time, heads down just a bit. Now, obviously, there is an eternity left in this game, but the Gators, a team not used to being down by 2 scores, that is for sure. And they are down 12-0 on the scoreboard. And this is a team that only put up 16 last week in their win against the Demon Knights to get here. The Brooklyn Pharaohs, 7-game win streak, including that semifinal win last week, which they pulled out late. This time have staked themselves to a sizable lead. Quarren Anderson will be the kicker here for the Pharaohs. Straight down the heart of the field, and it is played on the fly at the 18-yard line and wrapped up at the 28 for a minimal return by Wilson. So the Gators will have it 1st and 10 at their own 28-yard line. Down by a couple of scores, potent offense for sure. Now, David Ugarte was the quarterback of record for the first couple of drives here for the Gators. We'll see who comes back out there, and it will be Stephen Colon.
And this is something I wanted to highlight during the pregame. We didn't get a chance to talk much about the quarterbacks for these 2 teams at length during the pregame, but I just have a really hard time imagining that it doesn't affect these two quarterbacks to shuffle in and out of the game on a weekly basis. It hasn't affected the Gators in terms of wins and losses, but I think it certainly has to disrupt the rhythm of these quarterbacks just a bit, even if it is a small impact.
Ball officially placed at the 30-yard line to start it off. Cologne with no running backs in the game, and that one just one step ahead of Forio, who was hitting the seam there up the middle of the field.
And he was wide open. And that throw just a bit too long from Cologne. He had a great opportunity there to put 6 on the board and get the Gators halfway back just like that on one snap. But he had to get that ball over the defensive backs, over the linebackers. You can certainly understand how he missed that throw, but I'm sure that's one he'd like to have back.
And not one that he will miss often, that is for sure. We've seen Cologne put that on a dime time and again. 2nd and 10. Again, the Gators will work without a halfback behind or to the side of Cologne. 5 wide receivers, 3 on the near side. Cologne barks out the signals, looks middle of the field, now scampering to his right, looking sideline too high. Looked like in the direction of Cole. Jamison was in the area. Now a lot of flags come down late as players fail to separate. We'll see who this will go against.
Well, I'll tell you exactly who it's going against, Dave. It was number 33, Enrique Bermudez, the defensive end for the Pharaohs. He got right into the face of the Gators' offensive line and did so right in front of the officials. Now, I'm not sure if something was said to him first. There's always that possibility. But assuming he was not instigated, that is an absolutely terrible penalty. And he is angry about it over on the bench right now.
And it has taken a little bit to discuss it for the officials, but ultimately they will make the call. You will see it on your screen. It would have been a 3rd down and 10 for the Gators, but the Pharaohs are indeed backing up, it would seem. Holding the call against the Gators, and then an unsportsmanlike against the Pharaohs. So we'll have to see what the result of this is, Joe, because there was a holding on the call as well against the Gators. And there was a discussion on the sideline, so it looks like the ball will be placed at the 35-yard line of the Gators. That's what I was looking at, Joe, because I was a little bit confused, but it is a 1st down. So it's an automatic first, but the backup because of the hold. So 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Still, it gives the Gators a fresh set of downs. Gators, once again, will work with an empty backfield. Cologne, the only one in it via the shotgun. Turn around and the throw on the right side. That one is straight out of bounds as cutting in on that was Mims as a defensive back and looked like he might have tried to make a play. Sorry, that is Lamont Tyson who wears number 9 as well.
Well, Dave, if he's a step quicker, we have an 18-0 game.
Right.
That was a very dangerous throw by Cologne. He was fortunate that ball was off target. Sometimes quarterbacks may do that intentionally if they realize they just need to get rid of the football. But assuming that was not the case there, that was a very high-risk throw, and Tyson was a step or 2 away from a potential touchdown.
Yeah, and you saw in 1st and 2nd and 10 for the Gators, Cologne sitting back in the pocket that time, the quick one-step drop and the out pattern to the sideline, sensing that Pharaohs pressure is coming. That one is thrown into the flat, and it will go forward for about a gain of 4 or 5 on the play. So they cut the distance a little further. Williams on the catch. So it will be a 3rd down and 5 here.
If there's one player you want to get the ball to in the open field in the flat, it is Kadeem Wilson for this Gators offense. And he did a nice job to make a little something out of not much. He caught that ball possibly behind the line of scrimmage following the drop back of Cologne. And that's textbook taking what the defense gives you, and it makes us a 3rd and much more manageable.
So third down. This time the Gators will keep a running back in with Cologne. Set up to block, and that one is a high throw, but it is caught for the first down, close to the 50-yard line. We have number 5 as Devon Hull Sr., listed as a defensive lineman, but not sure, Joe, if that's correct, but it was indeed number 5.
He did not look like a D lineman on that play with a grab like that, but assuming the roster is accurate, that is Hull Sr. who made that catch, and it was an impressive one. That ball a bit high. He went up and got it. Bobbled it a bit on the way down, but was able to hold on. Fortunately for him, he didn't take a hit there.
So right at the midfield marker, 1st and 10, the Gators with their second first down of this drive. Once again, they work empty backfield. Heavy pressure coming, and the ball is caught once again by Hull. Another first down as he's able to catch it in the flat and accelerate forward, and was punched out of bounds at about the 42, so he might have been just short. And that's what the Pharaohs were arguing, that he was out of bounds prior to gaining the first. Indeed, that's the case. 2nd down and 2.
Prior to this drive, I'm not sure we'd seen Hull catch a ball all season. I'm not sure I'd seen him line up at wideout ahead of today's game. And we've spoken at length about the weapons this Gators offense has. Add one more to that list here in this championship game.
Similar to Collymore in the semifinal running the football. One of the first times we've seen him. The give is straight ahead for nothing doing.
Pharaohs were all over that play. And
it was either Dominic Page or Forio on there.
I believe that was Forio. That's Forio. He's definitely gotten plenty of reps at running back. That was certainly him, but
loss of 3 on the play.
I'll tell you, while these jerseys certainly fit in with the Halloween theme, the black and the orange, bit tough to distinguish those numbers on the back.
The 8s and the 0s, the 5s and the 6s. It is pretty hard to distinguish from where we are perched, but in either event, 3rd down and 5 here for the Gators. Whistles everywhere. Looks like a timeout was called. And it was taken by the Brooklyn Pharaohs.
A big play coming up here as the Gators look to keep moving, but on that last running play, the Pharaohs were all over it. They were waiting for that handoff, never gave that play a chance. Harlem offense has come alive just a bit on this drive. That big 3rd down conversion on the grab by Hull Sr. kept it going. And how have you seen the approach change for this Harlem offense with Stephen Cologne at quarterback? We've spoken many times before. Ugarte more of a dual threat, Cologne more of a pocket passer. What changes have you seen been the most impactful for this Harlem offense since the change?
Well, it's been the straight drop back and throw as opposed to Ugarte rolling around the pocket, being able to manufacture things with his legs, which we've seen a number of times. With Stephen Cologne, it's more about 2-step drop and boom, firing at who your target is, whether it's in the flat or down the field. Ugarte's a little bit more patient back there, managing more of his time back there in the pocket. But either way, Joe, we haven't seen the Gators run the football or commit to running the football like they did a week ago.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things I saw last week following the quarterback change, when Ugarte was in there, the Demon Knights were blitzing on just about every snap. They did not want to give him a chance to get outside the pocket and utilize his legs. We've seen how impactful he can be running the football. When Cologne came in at quarterback last week, the Demon Knights began blitzing far less, but that opened up running lanes for this Gators offense. With Cologne in the game here today, they're looking to pass, and on that last handoff, the Pharaohs were all over it. If they can do such a great job of slowing down both the running game like we saw in that last snap and the passing game as we've seen for the most part on this drive, they're in business defensively.
And you wonder if that was the reason for the Pharaohs calling a timeout, is to think about how they want to approach the rush here on Cologne and what they want to do in the defensive backfield on a 3rd and 5 where the Gators have plenty of options. Kadeem Wilson and Stephen Cologne having a conversation before the play here. Hull Jr. was also involved in that discussion. We'll see if it's something coming to the near side as they're both lined up here. Closest to us. Cologne is going to tuck it down and take it himself. He extends. The ball hit the turf before it came out. Now, it depends where his knee was when he made that extension. It's going to be right at the sticks, Joe.
And we are going to get a second look at it in just a moment. That looked like a designed run. Out of the pistol, Cologne took off up the middle, and I'll tell you, I certainly didn't expect that, as they do give him the first down, but we will get a second look at it nonetheless. The football came out late, but Cologne had been ruled down, and that's a gutsy play call if you're the Gators, because Cologne really didn't have any other option on that play. It looked like a straight designed quarterback run without an option to pass. Now, perhaps, as you said, Dave, that could be what was discussed ahead of the snap. Perhaps that was an option, and Cologne was reminding his receivers ahead of that snap. But he picks up the first with his legs. New set of downs for the Gators.
Certainly not the play call I was expecting, as this might be a free play here for the Gators, and they will look sideline, near side of the field, but catch could not be made. But that was a free play all the way by the Gators. Cologne knew it and took a shot.
And take a shot he did, as he had Wilson with a step in the end zone. That throw just a bit too far. We'll get one more look at it in just a moment, but shot taken by Cologne, definitely the right play after the flag came in. And that should set up a first down and 5 as the Gators look to cut this Pharaohs lead in half. They are in plus territory and are continuing to move once again very methodically, as we said about this Brooklyn offense more than once already.
And the Pharaohs have helped the Gators along a little bit in this, or on this drive, I should say. A couple of penalties have given the Gators an automatic first down and now get them a little bit closer, as the ball will be spotted at the 35-yard line, 1st and 5, as Joe mentioned. Cologne, once again, straight drop, drops it off underneath, close to another first down. The Gators, looks like they got it.
That's certainly close. We'll see if they move the sticks here.
Look like Page in on that catch, number 18. Maybe a yard short here, Joe. That's exactly what they say. Second down and 1.
Now, do you take a shot for the end zone here? 2nd and 1?
I was just about to say, Joe, we've seen these a few times from the Gators in this game, the game against the Bears a few weeks ago that you covered with Nick. And on these 2nd and 1s, they like to go over top of the defense and take their shot and then come back to the run on 3rd, and we would think a 4th down if they get that far. Cologne does look middle of the field in traffic. The catch is made. First down for the Gators.
And what a display of toughness there by Kadeem Wilson. He went up and got that football in heavy traffic. He had to know that he was about to take a big hit on that play. There was no doubt. Cologne got that ball in there with some velocity behind it. It did all he could to protect his receiver, but on 2nd and 1 to throw one up in traffic like that, certainly a risky play.
Ball officially spotted just outside the red zone at the 21-yard line. Fresh set of downs for the Gators, who are driving and are down by 12 on the scoreboard. Cologne, once again, will drop it off in the flat and incomplete, as Foyo could not corral it in. We've seen Foyo make some great plays coming out of the backfield and as a receiver, and that one just off his fingertips, Joe.
And Cologne was forced to loft that ball up into the air out of the backfield. He had a lot of arc on that one, and the amount of time that ball spent in the air may have made Foyo think just a bit too much, as there's always the chance you take a hit on the other end of that catch, and there's always a chance that the defender could be closing in to try and make an interception. So perhaps that bit of extra time that ball spent in flight impacted that play. I'm not sure how far Foyo would have gotten even if he had made the catch.
Exactly, as the Pharaohs were coming in hot there as well. Pharaohs this time will go with trips to the right side. And that one in the middle of the field, well overthrown. Wilson was the only one in the area, but that was thrown a good 3 or 4 yards over his head. And it will be a 3rd down and long.
There was certainly a window there. It was a tight window, but once again, Cologne had a chance. Much like the first play of this drive, he had a chance to put that ball on target and come away with a big completion. To open this drive, he could have gotten things started with a touchdown had that pass been on target, right there, that pass completion could have put this Harlem offense down inside the 10-yard line. He was just a bit off the mark, and now with 3rd and long, certainly 4-down territory. If you're the Gators, you have to keep this drive alive.
Undoubtedly, they will go for it on 4th, as you mentioned, Joe. So on 3rd and 10, they'd like to get some positive yards here, get a few steps closer. Cologne barking out the signals. He will indeed now, this time looking left side, looking for some real estate of his own, but he goes down. And that is going to be a sack of about 5 yards on the play. So the Gator is going to have to go uphill here. It's going to be a 4th and about 16.
What a tough position Harlem is in right now. You almost feel like they have no choice but to go for it, yet you're going for it in a situation where it's 4th and very long. So hard to convert these.
Yeah, and if they want a first down, Joe, they got to play the ball somewhere between the goal line and the 10. Otherwise, this ball will have to be in the end zone somewhere. So 4th down and 16. No running backs in the game for the Gators.
And this is just an awful position to be in if you're the Gators, and see what they can do.
And it will be a throw towards the back of the end zone, and it gets through the defense, and a touchdown, Gators.
What was I saying, Dave? An awful position to be in. A great play for this Harlem offense. They found themselves in trouble there. It was 4th and very long, and somehow they managed to get that pass over the outstretched arms of a defender. Dominic Page on the receiving end makes the touchdown grab, and just like that, the Gators are back to within a score. It's now 12-6.
Not one, but 2 defenders looked like they might have had a chance to make that, and it just looked like it went through 2 sets of imaginary hands, Joe, into the waiting hands of Page, who elevated and made a great play. And on an improbable 4th down and 16, the Gators score a 27-yard touchdown and are back in the game and could cut this to 4 points here with a 2-point conversion. Ugarte will pitch it off to the right side. Not a lot of room there, but he is in for the 2-point conversion. It took a great second effort, but the Gators have made this a 12-8 game.
What a turnaround, Dave. I'm not sure things could have gotten any more dramatic than they did on that 4th down. And really, all the Pharaohs did wrong on that play. They had it extremely well covered. Instead of playing the man, they played the ball. They went for the interception. If they had just backed up and stayed with the receiver and waited for the ball to come down, they had an easy pass deflection. Instead, they made a break toward the ball, and the pass just cleared over the defensive back. That resulted in the touchdown. Then we had a successful 2-point try on the second effort right there, and all of a sudden we have a game again. It is Brooklyn by 4 over Harlem. I would presume about maybe just a bit over halfway into the second quarter, if not more.
Yeah, probably. That was a very time-consuming drive, and it was helped along, Joe. Remember that big 3rd down penalty by the Pharaohs that gave the Gators a first down, still when they were in their own territory. But that extended the drive, and even though the Gators were backed up 4th and 16, they were able to convert. And the Gators flexing a little bit of their muscle, too. They are never intimidated by the down distance and the situation that they find themselves in. And just like that, the game could be 12-0 still, with the Pharaohs having the ball at their own 20. If that was indeed picked off, instead it's 12-8, a brand new game.
And if you told me ahead of that 4th down that we'd be looking at a 12-8 score at this point in the game, I would have asked simply how did it happen? And we may get one more look at that grab following this kickoff, but it was an incredible play by Dominic Page. Cologne threw it to him under pressure as well.
Dangerous that they let the Pharaohs take this one out, and that one is Collins, Joe, and Collins is corralled and put down at the 40.
And that's exactly why it's dangerous. They returned it to the 40 anyway, so you didn't gain
Right.
anything by kicking it off. I am all for intentionally kicking the ball out of bounds unless you're in a situation late in the game with just a few seconds remaining. Maybe then you take that chance. But even then, to go 60 yards and score a touchdown in a short amount of time, I think that's a chance you don't take, kicking the ball off and allowing that kickoff to be received.
Now, there is a flag down right where the ball is right now. We didn't get an official call, I don't think, unless that was just to...
That's some orange gear.
I see. Okay. Indeed. So, just like you said, Joe, ends up at the 40-yard line anyway. And even some of the moans and groans from the fans when that was going to be returned, saying, I can't believe it. But Page is going to go off tackle right this time for about a gain of 2. Pharaohs go right back to work on the ground. Dante Aiken.
Aiken's been a workhorse early in this game. Can he keep it up for 4 quarters is a big question I'll have coming out of the first half.
This time, it will be Williams. He's going to throw it out in the flat to the sideline. Mims was the intended receiver. Went in and out of his hands as we saw offensively the great work that number 5, Devon Hull Sr. has been doing, but he was in defensively on that play.
Well, Dave, he's listed as a 5'11", 230-pound defensive end. I highly doubt that is him on the outside. I think there's a second number 5, and he's not on our roster because the man playing the outside cornerback position is not 230. Not close.
Well, in any event, 3rd down and 8 coming up for the Pharaohs. Talk about a big play here. Do the Pharaohs go 3 and out? That one is too high, and unable to come down with it was Doumbia. He got a mitt on it. Pass was thrown a little bit high and behind him, but looked like he had a chance to make that play. But the Pharaohs look like they are going to go 3 and out here and will have to punt.
And they are going to kick it away, and this game has taken a complete turn in the other direction. It was 12-0. It was 4th and long. The Gators looked like they were going to give it back to the Pharaohs. Instead, they score a touchdown. They get the 2 points on the conversion. Now they force a 3 and out. Everything has gone right for Harlem in these last 2 minutes. It seems like everything has gone wrong for the Pharaohs during that time. And now an opportunity here for the Gators to score yet again before halftime and perhaps take a lead into the intermission, which would have seemed unfathomable 2 minutes ago.
Tough snap, and that punt goes straight up in the air. Gators need to either get away from this one, but it does take a Pharaohs bounce, and they will down at about the 33-yard line. But that looked like trouble from the outset. But great job by the Gators, Joe, defensively. They forced a 3 and out. And on the heels of that touchdown, they're going to have a chance here before half to punch in another one.
Well, I couldn't have said it better myself, Dave. The Gators needed to get far, far away from that ball. It was rolling dangerously close to a couple of Gators, but they took a few steps back and made sure that they didn't make contact with that ball. So the Harlem offense will take over here at the 33-yard line. We have not yet reached the 2-minute warning. There is still time for this Gators offense to get back up onto the scoreboard ahead of halftime, and if they can do that, what a difference it would make for them in terms of confidence, in terms of momentum in this game, and in terms of the morale over on the Brooklyn sideline. You can't imagine they will head into the half pleased with how things turned out if Harlem is able to take a first-half lead or at the very least get down the field. A score here gives them the lead. It would give them 6. They converted on the 2-point try. Our score is 12-8 in favor of the Pharaohs.
Cologne stays in at quarterback for the Gators. Empty backfield. Immediate throw to right, and that one's picked off. They read it beautifully, and scamping home for the score are the Pharaohs. Number 21, Marcus Spann, sniffed it out, They've went to that play before. You said they were late last time, Joe. Not this time. The Pharaohs turning around 6 the other way.
I mentioned how well the Gators scout and prepare ahead of games. The Pharaohs clearly had Cologne scouted on that throw. They jumped it earlier. It was a bad throw. They were a step or two late. And as you said, Dave, they were not late this time. 6 points the other way, and the Pharaohs are right back in front by 2 scores. Our score now, Brooklyn 18 and Harlem 8.
So what a turn that is. You forced the Pharaohs off the field, 3 and out, but we mentioned it during pregame. The Pharaohs score on offense, they score on defense, and they score on special teams. And not just here and there. It is habitual. They will do it on the often, and they do it here in the EFA championship to make it 18-8, a chance now to go back up by 12. Williams running for his life. He pushes that one back corner of the end zone, and that's too high and over everything. So conversion unsuccessful. The score will remain 18-8 in favor of the Pharaohs, but they'll take that, Joe.
They certainly will. And what a back-and-forth start this has been. It has been a roller coaster ride in this first half, and I said that about the game between the Gators and the Bears as well. That game was played about 6 weeks ago now. The Gators trailed in that game late. They tied it and then ultimately won it in walk-off fashion at the end of regulation. But it looked like the Pharaohs had firm control over this game early. They were ahead 2 scores. It was 4th down Gators. Harlem scores a miracle touchdown. The Pharaohs then get the ball back, go 3 and out. The Gators have it again, but just for 1 snap as Cologne throws the pick 6. And we said it before, they were all over that outbreaking route, that comeback along the far sideline. Last time he threw it, they were not going to let him try again. Perhaps the Gators may go to a double move in that situation later, or perhaps they make yet another quarterback change. We just don't know what to expect from the Gators on the offensive side moving forward, but a lot more urgency behind this drive now, trailing by 2 scores with the Pharaohs receiving the second, or I should say, with the Gators receiving the second half kickoff. Not as much urgency in that sense.
We still haven't gotten the 2-minute warning here in this second quarter. And so the Gators will still have time here closing out this first half. And as Joe just mentioned, they'll get the ball first in the second half as well. So a 10-point game, still anyone's game at this point. But the Pharaohs make a huge statement on that last play, and this will be taken at the 20-yard line. Going across the field, past the 30, now the 35, and close to the 40-yard line. That was Shannon James on the return. A 2-minute warning, Joe. We have our 2-minute warning, so the Gators will officially have 2 minutes. And one of the questions I was going to ask you, Joe, on that last interception return for a touchdown is when Cologne has come into the game, it has really been predominantly pass for the Gators. You know that's their bread and butter, but are you surprised by the fact that they haven't gone back to their run game?
A bit surprised given how effective it was last week. Collymore had a nice carry early, but they have been playing from behind early in this game, and sometimes when you're playing from behind, the play callers tend to go more to the pass side of that play sheet, and I think that's a big reason why we've seen so many pass attempts from the Gators in this first half. Cologne is back out there in the huddle right now following the pick 6. You have to wonder how much he's shaken, a player that always plays with great confidence. This Gators team certainly not a team you can count out behind by any number of points in the first half of a game. But if you're Harlem and you score here, you get the ball back to start the second half and have the opportunity to take the lead then. So we'll see what they do on this drive. They do have to hurry a bit. 2 minutes remaining, or just a bit less than that here in this first half, depending on when the warning was whistled.
And once again, an empty backfield for the Gators, so everyone on the Pharaohs knows a pass is coming, unless Cologne tucks it down again and goes forward with it himself. Trips are on the near side. Cologne surveys the field, nothing doing, and he's going to have to throw that one out of bounds.
And he just got enough on that, Dave. If that throw is a yard or two shorter of the sideline, there's a chance for an INT again. And that would have been disastrous for the Gators. They can't afford to fall behind 3 scores, and another touchdown plus the conversion would get it to 3 scores.
And what the Gators can't afford to do either, Joe, is having 5 blockers to block 4 D linemen and have them get in on Cologne that quickly either. Now the Pharaohs, understanding that the pass is coming, understanding that we're under 2 minutes remaining, send 7 defensive backs on that last play, but the pressure too great on Cologne where he's not really able to survey the field as he would like. We'll see what they do in the secondary on this play. Is again empty backfield. We have movement. As Page was ahead of the play, it'll be a 2nd and 15.
Well, I said it earlier in the game, the Gators can't afford to hurt themselves with pre-snap penalties on defense. They then committed one on offense right after I'd made that statement when they got the ball for the first time, and yet again, a pre-snap penalty here. The good news for them is they're close to halftime. I'm sure head coach Patterson will have a word with his team about the unforced errors. They are still well within striking distance and get the ball. They'd love to score here, but if they don't, still no reason to panic. That being said, they have to clean up these penalties.
Yep, and that's what happens when 4 D linemen get pressure on your quarterback. Your receivers want to take off just a step early to get themselves a jump on their passing routes. And once again, the Gators will go empty backfield. Trips left side to near side. Cologne, 2-step drop. He is looking about running, but he will throw it over to Wilson in the flat. Wilson gets some of the penalty yardage plus back, but well short of the first down as he got about 9 or 10 on the play. So it'll be a 3rd and 5, and we will have a timeout as looks like the Gators are pleading that they were out of bounds. That might have been called in bounds, perhaps forcing the Gators to call a timeout here.
That was called in bounds. We have an injury on the Gator sideline. Looks like an assistant coach or perhaps a family member of a teammate.
Yes, someone in street clothes.
Yeah. The play along the sideline resulted in a player being tackled out of bounds. And when the tackle was made, a spectator along the Gator sideline went down.
Yeah, so not an official timeout. It's an official timeout on the field.
Well, I would think the Gators have to burn a timeout in that circumstance. I can't imagine the officials would grant one.
Well, the officials motioned to the Gators sideline that it's an official timeout. Looks like whoever it is getting tended to, so that's good to see. When we do come back, it will be a 3rd and a long 4, short 5. And another big play here for the Gators because they are in that distance in the field where you don't know if they would go for it, down by 10 on the negative side of the 50.
I would presume they absolutely would not go for this.
Yeah, I would as well. But we'll have to see what happens on 3rd if they get a little closer, or we've seen them go backwards in these positions. Remember the last drive, the Gators were sacked on 3rd and 10. It backed them up to a 4th and 16. They were still able to convert not just the first down, but the touchdown, 27-yard pass to Page from Cologne. Under 2 minutes remaining. We've had the 2-minute warning to start this drive. Could this be a wildcat formation, Joe? That is Forio in the back, isn't it? And he will indeed run with it. Gets down to 45, no gain. And it will be 4th and 5.
From here, it was tough to get a read on the number, but that looked like it was potentially a 12, which would make that either Jero Wilson or Yemi Tavares. Now, last week, Wilson was the one who had gotten in the game and made some big plays.
Going to have a timeout called here. I'm not sure who called it. It might have been the Pharaohs who were looking to get this ball back. Unfortunately, didn't catch who called it. But that was a different formation for sure. And the Gators give us another interesting look. But that didn't work out. That looked like a design run all the way, a delayed run at that. That
was an interesting play call, to say the least, because I don't know if there was any room in that play call for a pass attempt.
Right, and now on, it is number 12, Joe, and like you mentioned, there are two.
If I'm not mistaken,
12s.
that's Wilson.
And it is a 4th down and 5. Now, the Pharaohs don't have anybody back, so this might not be a punt here, or it might.
I don't think it is, unless they're trying to get a punt off with nobody back. You could have Wilson punt it,
right,
and then you don't have that threat of a return with nobody back. Maybe that's what that 3rd down call was setting up, the same look and a punt.
And it will indeed be punted away, and it's a pretty good one by Wilson. It is taken on the fly, however, and there's a flag down on the near side. The ball is advanced to the 35, close to the 40. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but that is Collins on the far side who returned that.
Again, tough to tell, but I was following the backfield.
The penalty.
Yeah, and the flag. Now, I don't think that was Collins.
Well, we'll see it on the replay if we can. But either way, it looks like it's going to come back.
Some players wear their uniforms tucked into their pads, and that creates issues in discerning what number we're looking at.
Well, either way, the Pharaohs going to be pinned back deep. That flag did come out pretty early in that return. And you know what? If the Gators were looking to take advantage of the Pharaohs' defensive alignment, well, it worked, because the Pharaohs are going to have a 1st and 10 at their own 15 in the dying moments of the first half.
Now, I could be overthinking it, but like I said, Dave, I think putting Wilson at the quarterback spot on 3rd down was to set up that punt on 4th down, but why would you give away 3rd down? That's what doesn't make sense to me. So
unless you just roll the dice and see if maybe he could pick up the 1st down on his legs like they indeed tried to do. But we know the Pharaohs well enough to know that they're just not going to take a kneel down and get into halftime. They're going to look to put some more points up on the board, 15 or no 15. Mims is in motion, and he gets the snap. That was not Mims. That was Doumbia on the right side. Now he does go out of bounds, preserving the clock stoppage. And we'll see about a gain of 5 on the play. Make that 4, so 2nd down and 6. And a late flag comes down. So some more jarring between the two teams. And the side judge threw the flag down.
There are some Pharaohs clapping, which means that they believe it's against the Gators. And if it is, that's another awful penalty that we've seen in this game. The Pharaohs had an awful personal foul earlier, and it looks like they're getting set to march this football forward.
Yes, indeed. And that's the 2nd or 3rd flag that we've seen come in a good 5 to 10 seconds after the play has been over. So both coaches are going to have to talk to their players about getting back to their respective huddles, because this free yardage is not something either team can sustain. What was a 1st and 10 at the 15 after the play, and the penalty is now a 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line, just inside the 35. Aiken is the running back to the right of Williams. In motion this time, Mosby, who makes it trips to the left side. In the middle of the field, and wide open was Doumbia. He fumbles it. It is picked up, but he was down on the play. Racing in was Mosby, who played it on a hop and took it back in. Now, you can advance a fumble in the EFA. Time has been called. Looks like the Pharaohs may have used a timeout here.
Okay, 3 things, Dave. 1, it was a false start on the offense.
Gotcha.
So they're heading back. 2, he definitely was not down when that football came out. That was a fumble. 3, under 2 minutes, you can't advance the fumble forward. So the ball would have been dead where it was picked up. But a lot to unpack on that play. Perhaps we'll get a second look at it. Either way, that could have been a complete disaster for the Gators once again. A great throw by Williams, hitting his man in stride right up the seam. And it was a big tackle made in the secondary as well. I believe the tackle was made by Mike Velez. He took down the receiver on the play, and the football did come out late. But I think it was before any body part was down.
And it looked like the ball was spiked, Joe, to preserve the clock. So because the clock was going to be running, I guess, on the play because it was an offensive foul, the Pharaohs wanted to clock it. And we will have a second down. But, yeah, I'm not quite sure about down and distance here, Joe, and about those last penalty, because if they clock that and it's second down, that means that was 1st and 6. I don't know if that would make much sense after an offensive penalty. So unless we got the call wrong, not sure. But second down and 6, which means that on the spike on the
they had to have gotten 9 toward a first down. But then it would have been second down.
It was first and long, I guess. But we have another flag down here. Williams wants to go out and does. He was spilled once he got out there. Either way, this one might be coming back.
Well, we had the personal foul. That was the last penalty.
Yeah.
Against the Gators, so I'm not sure how that would set up a 1st and 6.
Well, that would be a first down and 10 from the 35. And then, yeah.
Followed by a false start.
So it would have been a 1st and 15. Oh, so it is. I see. So it was
It was 1st and 15.
Correct.
And
not
then
first
spiked.
and 5. Okay.
Got it.
Makes sense now. We knew it all along, people. 2nd and 20.
They may not get to hear it in the final product. You never know. Our editors do great work in post-production.
Absolutely. So 2nd down and 20. But at this point, the down and distance is inconsequential. I think, Joe, that we've reached halftime. So with the runoff on the restart, we are officially at halftime. So the Pharaohs take an 18-8 lead into the break. We will step aside and get you ready for half number 2 here from Facina Field in New Rochelle. Once again, the Pharaohs 18 and the Gators 8. We are at halftime of the EFA 2022 championship.
This broadcast of the Elite Football Alliance is being brought to you by the Three Bleezies Entertainment Group on the Three Bleezies Facebook page. Catch the Three Bleezies weekly show as well as live recordings and all the opinions and all the unfiltered hot topics you've come to love about semi-pro. It's the resource for the EFA and semi-pro talk from the official source for all things Bleezy. The Three Bleezies Facebook page. Visit it now. Mundo, yeah, yeah.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
What a disaster.
You're a disaster.
This is a disaster.
You can't be ready for every little disaster, but you can prepare for a big one. Make an emergency plan today.
Wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Bring it.
Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner. My mom's gonna kill me. Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home.
Okay. Bye, guys.
You guys need a ride?
Sure. Yeah. All right. How about some one-on-one?
I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
You Know 'Em Right is the podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, entertainment, and pop culture. On the show, hosts Nick and Joe walk guests through the retelling of their humble beginnings, covering an array of topics from specific interests and hobbies to personal opinions regarding each facet of their industry. You Know 'Em Right offers insight on how to adapt and advance, and offers alternative advice as opposed to a one-size-fits-all strategy. Above all else, the number one goal of You Know 'Em Right is to offer listeners an exclusive behind-the-scenes vantage point not found anywhere else through its increasing list of professional connections. With a following that continues to grow daily, You Know 'Em Right is transforming into a must-listen podcast in the right place at the right time. Find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. You do not want to miss an episode of You Know 'Em Right. You Know 'Em Right is
Welcome back to halftime here from the Joseph F. Facina Field in New Rochelle, New York, the site of the EFA 2022 championship between the two top-seeded teams in the tournament, the two best teams during the regular season, the Harlem Gators and the Brooklyn Pharaohs. Joe, there wasn't a lot that separated these two teams during the season. In this first half, however, a couple of big plays, and they've been favoring the Brooklyn Pharaohs.
You said it, Dave. Big plays have gone the Pharaohs' way. The Gators did have that one touchdown where it was highly improbable. Many would have said impossible. 4th and very long. They heaved one up toward the end zone, through the outstretched arms of a defender, and caught for a touchdown. That is the only score in this game for Harlem. As for the Pharaohs, they marched straight down the field on the ground. For their first score, they aired it out ahead of their second score, including a huge 4th down catch by DeKyrie Mims, and then the biggest play of them all. Harlem had the ball with a chance to take the lead, trailing 12-8. Stephen Cologne pick sixth by Marcus Spann, and Spann makes what for him is undoubtedly his biggest play of the season as he gave the Pharaohs the 18-8 lead. Brooklyn has failed on all 3 of their 2-point tries, and so often those come back to bite teams. We'll see if it proves to be a difference maker here in tonight's championship game. But if you're the Gators getting the ball to start the second half, you have to come out and make a statement on offense, get yourselves back into this game. At the very least, don't allow Brooklyn to get the ball back on their first possession of the half with good field position.
That's right. The Gators will have more opportunities, we know that, and this game is certainly not over or in the books, but always tough, Joe, to come from behind, especially against great teams. And for the Brooklyn Pharaohs, they've got themselves a 10-point lead. So the onus really at this point, Joe, is really on the Gators. The Pharaohs, with their great defense, of course, can lean on that a lot. You could see that they've devoted themselves to their run game today, so they are going to take some chunks of the time off the clock. So really, the onus is on the Gators to really get back in this game.
And the Gators have done some of the things last week that we said needed to be cleaned up. They've turned the ball over. They've committed some pre-snap penalties. They've had a lot of miscues. They've had some missed passes as well that could have gone for big plays. So if you're the Gators, you really have to clean some of those things up. Despite all of that, you were within 4 points ahead of that pick six, that turnover into a touchdown, a backbreaker. And I spoke about it during the pregame. Neither of these teams could afford to give points away while they possess the ball. The Gators do just that, and as a result, they trail by 10 heading into the second half.
Right, so we will get you ready for the second half kickoff and what could be the final 30 minutes of the season for one of these teams. The Brooklyn Pharaohs got off to a 12-0 lead, and they take a 10-point lead here at halftime. Our score, 18-8. When we come back, third quarter action here from Facina. It's the 2022 Elite Football Alliance Championship, only on the PDF Sports Network.
Unbeatable Tires and Accessories LLC is your tire for all seasons. Visit us 7 days a week and call us now at 347-879-3100. A tire for all seasons at Unbeatable Tires and Accessories, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance.
You can't have football without barbecue, and there is no barbecue without the Rib Room's Black's Barbecue, official partner of the Elite Football Alliance, serving up rib plates, chicken plates, and combo plates now. To get your official Black's Barbecue order, call 347-837-5762 or Facebook direct message Sean Kelman.
I love you. Talk to doctor now and share it. Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it. Gonna get it, gonna slip it, gonna cuff it. Check it, talk to doctor and share it. Gonna get it, gonna slip it, gonna cuff it. Check it, talk to doctor and share it.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. High blood pressure silently affects millions of Americans. Staying on top of your blood pressure is as simple as these 4 easy steps. Self-monitoring is power. Visit manageyourbp.org to learn more.
If you love them enough to do this, surely you'll check NHTSA.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
We are back here as we are getting set to start the third quarter. Final 30 minutes of play here in the EFA season, where the Brooklyn Pharaohs have themselves an 18-8 lead here over the Gators, who will get the ball to start this second half. And Joe, we see David Ugarte taking some warm-up tosses on the Gators sideline. We saw him in the first quarter. We saw Cologne in the second quarter. If you're head coach David Patterson, what do you do in the third quarter?
Well, looking at Ugarte, he's throwing with a purpose, and they only gave him one series, which is a bit atypical of what we normally see from this Gators team. So if I had to guess, Ugarte is probably coming back into the game. I think if you were going to bring him in at the start of a half is a good time to do it. I think whatever quarterback you choose to go with to open this third quarter is the quarterback you have to stick with the rest of the way. You need to give whoever the signal caller is at the start of quarter number 3 a chance to get into rhythm and find just some, I can't think of a better word than rhythm, with this offense, and to really begin to build some confidence. As Ugarte was immediately yanked after one drive, Cologne then came in. They moved the ball pretty well, scored on that miracle fourth down play, and then immediately following that touchdown, Cologne threw the pick 6. So I'm not saying you should go away from Cologne in this spot by any means. What I am saying is that whoever you start the second half with, I think that has to be your guy the rest of the way.
Absolutely, and both teams, the Gators had a long huddle next to the end zone poster of the late Coach D, who they've honored their season in memory of, and they've been kind of getting loose for the last 2 or 3 minutes here of this halftime. If you're head coach David Patterson and the coaching staff, not much to really say. You're down by 10 here at the half against the defending EFA champions, and for the Brooklyn Pharaohs, Joe, they just exited their huddle here. A nice long talk with their coaching staff. What do they have to do in half number 2 to slam the door on the Gators?
Continue to milk the clock running the football. By no means do you take your foot off the gas, but they ran it very effectively. They can afford to hand the ball off and try and bleed this clock out in order to get themselves to the finish in this game, especially if they maintain a 2-score lead. That gives you much more room for error. If you're the Pharaohs, this possession is a big one. It could really dictate what kind of game this is going to be in the second half. Are the Gators trying to make up a 2-score deficit, or is Harlem back to within a score and the pressure then shifts over to the Brooklyn offense on their first possession? This drive is a big one for this Brooklyn defense, perhaps even bigger for this Harlem offense. If they don't score, the Pharaohs get a chance, leading by 2 scores for the first time in this game.
Yep, and for the Pharaohs, they have only given up over 18 points this season once, and that was in their Week 2 loss to the Gators, who beat them by a score of 20-16. So this is not a team that yields a number of points, and you'd have to think, Joe, and we say this in a lot of our games, that if the Pharaohs were to punch another one into the end zone or score again, the mountain that the Gators would have to climb just to get into the 20s to win this game is going to be a difficult one. So we will start things off here as Anderson will be the one to get us started. It is allowed to hit the turf, and it is taken here by Wilson. Wilson cuts it back inside and is put down at about the 40-yard line. So just as we've mentioned, typical starting field position that we've seen throughout the season. The Gators will have it. And, of course, the question is, who lines up under center? Certainly looked like Ugarte, as we were saying here, getting into the halftime. Gators want to have a team huddle on the sideline before they run some plays. Play clock is winding down. And one thing that we have not seen the Gators do in the first half was run the football consistently. They started the game off with a couple, but they really hurt the Demon Knights last week in the semis with the run game. Looks like Collymore is back there in the secondary, and he will get it off of the delay, but there's not much happening, as coming in and finishing things off was Enrique Bermudez. Collymore got back to the line of scrimmage, but that's it. Maybe got one. So officially we'll call it a 2nd and 9. So the Gators go with a run on first down. Let's see what they do here. Ugarte is indeed the quarterback. Now, he's always a threat as well to run the football outside the pocket. High snap, looks left side, and he has got his man, makes one man miss, and now off to the races and down the sideline into Pharaohs territory.
Yards after the catch, Dave, something that has been so big for this Gators team all year long. That was Wesley Forio on the reception. He broke the initial tackle and gave himself the opportunity to scamper up the sideline for some extra yards on that last play. And we've seen that all season from this Harlem offense, the ability to catch the ball with a limited amount of open space along the sidelines and to turn it upfield for big gains.
Saw the Gators go to the sidelines at times, but they really haven't worked down against the zone 5 and 6 yards up the field. Another would-be delayed run goes for nothing as Collymore was turned back again. This time a loss of about 2 on the play, so it'll be 2nd and 12.
They've set the Gators up in 2nd and long on consecutive sets of downs. Ugarte was able to find Forio on the last 2nd and long. We'll see what he can do here. He always has that ability to extend plays with his legs as well. Certainly can't write off this Gators offense regardless of if it's 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and sometimes 4th and long, as we've seen already in this game.
2nd and long it is. Officially 2nd and 12. Maybe a foot or two more than that. High snap, and it goes over the head of Ugarte. He's in trouble. He fails to pick it up. The Gators finally do. But this is going to be a heavy loss of about 25 yards on the play. That play was doomed from the start thanks to the high snap. And after a positive momentum play, the first down, the Gators have gone backwards.
Well, Dave, we've sure seen that before. A high snap for this Gators offense. That has been problematic for them before this season. And right there, it almost proved to be a devastating blow. Fortunately for Harlem, they're given second life. They recover. Collymore was in there on the recovery, and the Gators' drive remains alive.
3rd down and 32 coming up for the Gators. If you're the Pharaohs, you got to watch out for the pass interference, obviously, or any sort of unsportsmanlike penalty. Let's see what happens here. 5 wide receivers in the game. This time the snap is good. Ugarte's got nothing doing. He wants to take it himself. He runs left side, and he is thought he was brought down. He's still alive. And he is chopped down at about the 42-yard line, so he is able to get about 6 on the play. I thought Ugarte was down, but that knee failed to touch turf. Second effort makes it a 4th and still very long, 4th and 26. And the Gators fixing to punt.
We should know better by the championship game, Dave. Ugarte is never really down until the whistle blows. His escapability really unmatched at the quarterback position by just about anyone else in this league, with the exception of perhaps Kareem Williams, the signal caller on the other side. But Ugarte did a great job to extend that play and make it a fourth and a bit less, still a fourth and very long following that high snap. And now the pressure is really on the Gators defense. Can they come up with a big stop?
That was another example of the Pharaohs getting pressure with only 4 rushers. There's another short punt that ends up going out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. Let's see where they officially mark it off. Side judge moving down the sideline, and it will be officially at the 38. So about a 25-yard punt on the play that's forced to go straight up in the air because the Pharaohs getting a lot of pressure. But getting back to my point, Joe, even on that third down, is that the Pharaohs only rushed their 4 down linemen, but were still able to get home on Ugarte, so nothing working down the field with 7 defensive backs in the game. But that's what happens when you go backwards 22 yards on the first 2 plays.
And I've said it almost too many times already. This Gators offense can't afford to hurt themselves. They can't afford to move backwards by means of penalty, or in the case of that last drive, a high snap.
So the Pharaohs have it for the first time in half number 2. Williams gives it underneath to Hunter. Hunter got past the first wave, and there's the ball's out. The ball's out. It's still out, and it looked like the Gators have it. The Gators have it inside the 40. So that ball came out. We will see it again on replay. We'll see if we could slow it down. But Gators needed a play on defense, Joe. They got it.
They sure did, and it couldn't have come at a much better time. The work in the backfield for Paul Hunter has been limited. He got a great block on that play from Vince Hardy, the guard. Hardy, I should say, was flexing over the defender that he laid out on the line. All while that was happening,
Wow.
The ball came loose behind him, and the Gators recovered. But Hardy with a great block. Hunter coughs it up, and the Gators now have it in plus territory at the Pharaohs' 39-yard line.
Yeah, good heads-up play by the Gators defense. As can't really fault Hunter too much. He was trying to make something happen as his jersey was getting tugged. The Gators now forced to use a timeout, and that could prove costly down the stretch. But they will talk things over here on 1st and 10. But Hunter with that second effort, Joe, tried to make something happen, but the Gators were there to punch it out.
And as we saw last week, the Gators forced a late fumble against Christian Grizzle on the opening drive for the Demon Knights in their first round playoff game. They punch at the football, they strip at it, they do everything they can to jar it loose until the whistle is blown on every play. I said it earlier in the game, ball security was going to be paramount for Dante Aiken as they were punching at the ball when he was carrying it earlier in the game during the first quarter. Getting that last carry was Paul Hunter, and you'll see it again here, perhaps a bit slowed down. We'll see just how late that ball came out. There you see the flex by Hardy, and while that's happening, a scrum for the football. I didn't see exactly where it came out, but the officials were emphatic in signaling that it would be Harlem Gators football. Now, that timeout the Gators burned right there might be one they need later. At this point, they need a score on this drive starting inside of the Pharaohs 40.
This is about where the Gators had the ball when they had that errant snap that forced them to lose all those yards. Ugarte dancing in the pocket, wants to look deep and falling down on the play and unable to make the play were the Gators. Looked like shoes got tangled, Joe. Didn't look like there was interference on the play, although certainly the Gators wanted it. Cole was working one-on-one with Spann.
Spann and Cole battling. Ugarte extends the play, and you can just see the difference when Ugarte is in the game. The defense brings far more pressure. They stack more players in the box. They are doing whatever they can to keep Ugarte in the pocket. He still manages to escape, manages to get a quality throw off, and You know, I thought when that play transpired in real time that we might see a flag there. Not saying there should have been. I thought we might see it. I think good restraint by the official there. It looked like incidental contact. That ball may have been just a bit overthrown anyway.
2nd down and 10. And you mentioned with the Pharaohs bringing pressure, that usually means man coverage down the field. Again, they do get pressure. That ball out in the flat for Forio. Forio, second effort, gets him to about the 32-yard line. And he got about 7 of the 10 that he needed, so that'll bring up a 3rd and short.
The entire playbook open here on 3rd down and about 3. Ugarte certainly a threat to run. We've seen the Gators really like to utilize the sidelines in the passing game. That came back to bite them earlier as Cologne tried to throw one of those comeback routes along the far side. He was picked 6th. Ugarte will need to be a bit more judicious if he throws to the outside here, but as I said, he is certainly a threat to pick up this 1st down with his legs, and a running play is definitely a possibility in this spot, though with 5 wide, I don't think we'll see that.
Play clock running down here. Ugarte takes it. Immediate throw out into the flat left side, and first wave is missed. The tackle is made. The Gators do convert a 1st down. Now, there is a flag down on the play in the vicinity of holding, right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, that penalty is certainly against the Gators, and it was for the block on the outside.
Right. Kind of like a pick play that we see so often.
I think the official call was a block in the back.
So we go from a 3rd and 3 to a 3rd and 13 because obviously the Pharaohs will take that play or accept that penalty, I should say. So 3rd and 13 now, take some of what they wanted to do off of the table, including that last play. Again, the Gators relying on making defenders miss at the line of scrimmage to convert that 1st down, but hampered by the penalty. On the near side, wideout James Cole, Joe, not a part of the huddle. You wonder if he's involved in this play at all or if that's just done as a decoy. Let's see. Two deep safeties for the Pharaohs. Don't look like they will bring pressure here, but they have gotten pressure with their 4 down linemen. Indeed, they pull everybody back in coverage, and still bottled up was Ugarte. Nice job that time by Malachi Bucknall to get in there first. He had some help from Troy Duncan, and now it's 4th and very long.
Gators were handed a great opportunity on this drive. They got the ball inside the Pharaohs' 40, and they failed to pick up even 1 first down on this drive as they are forced to punt yet again. And the offensive woes continue for Harlem in this game. They need to get things figured out and fast. As I've noticed as well, Ugarte takes the snaps with one hand. A very unorthodox method he uses to receive those snaps, as I think the Gators
Illegal.
had 12 men.
Yeah, either that or, yes, it was 12 men on the field, and they'll back them up 5 more yards. So it'll be a 4th and 22. At this point, allow your punter a little bit more room. And again, they made the mistake and punted 2 Mims once that he was able to get up to the 40.
I don't think they want more room on the punt. I think your best bet is a touchback. From here, I don't think you're going to get one. So now, a tough spot for the Gators.
Yeah, Pharaohs have come close to blocking a few. That one just gets off again, and it is down just outside the 25-yard line by Wilson. 28-yard line officially, and that's where the Pharaohs will take over another short punt, 21 yards on the punt. And the Pharaohs will have to go 70-plus yards here, but with a 10-point lead, they can afford to work their run game. They tried it on the last drive, but were victims of the turnover. The fumble by Paul Hunter. The run game has worked, though, for the Pharaohs. It certainly opened things up as well for Williams down the field. But it's how they started the game. There was an obvious commitment to it, and they have not gotten away from it.
And I think that pick six they had defensively right now is the pivotal play in this game. It put them back ahead 2 possessions and opened up their playbook for them to do whatever they want offensively as long as they lead by 2 scores. The Gators couldn't capitalize on great field position, and the Pharaohs can really make them pay here on offense.
It's like Aiken back in at running back, and he once again gets his number called, and he picks up about 4 or 5 yards on the play. Tough yard, started out right through the A gap, and he's able to spin it out to the left side.
Aiken, a very patient runner, and you can see how he's averaged 10 yards per carry on the season. He takes the handoff and doesn't immediately attack the first gap. He attacks the best gap in the offensive line, has done a really good job reading the running lanes, and has had several big carries in this game.
Very short huddle segment there for the Pharaohs. Williams wants to go down the field, and taking a shot was Mims. Could not hang on. That's going to be an incomplete pass. Legal hit. That was not helmet to helmet. Mims looked like he knew he was going to get slammed on that, but that's one we'll see in slow motion, I believe, again, Joe.
I think we will, and Mims took as big of a shot as we have seen maybe all season. We are going to get a second look at it. But Mims went down hard, and I thought for a moment that we might see a flag there. We caught the tail end of it, but there you see that hit fired up the Gators.
So 3rd down and 6 upcoming. Lots of movement up front. The Gators pointing in the direction of the Pharaohs pointing in the direction of the Gators, but it will be a false start on the Brooklyn Pharaohs. So they'll have a 3rd and just outside 10 yards to go, 3rd and 11 perhaps. So the Pharaohs taking their time here, 3rd and 11, getting out of the huddle. Chance of defense coming up from the Harlem Gators sideline. They want to get that ball back. Still down by 10 as we are midway through the 3rd, more than midway through the 3rd. Flags everywhere, false start by the Pharaohs. So the Pharaohs go backwards 10 yards on those last 2 snaps. And that'll be 3rd and 16. Less and less in the playbook for these situations, and you wonder if you're the Pharaohs, if you simply want time to come off the clock and you want to keep this clock running with a run play here or a draw play or Williams taking it outside himself out of the pocket, or if they'll put this one in the air. 3rd and 16. Williams barking out signals, finally gets back behind his center. He will indeed go back to pass. 3-step drop, and now he's taking off and running. He's past the 30, the 35, and is close to the 1st down. He might be just short, Joe. And if he is, decision time, it looked like he's about a foot short, at least from our naked eye. Let's see. And indeed, the fist comes up. That signals 4th down.
And just to make that close, Williams did a tremendous job. He lowered his shoulder at the end as well, and that is a great spot by the official. He was certainly short, not by much, as he reached for the 1st down right at the end of that play. And the Gators will force the Pharaohs to punt. And I think this is the right call here. As tempting as it is to go for it on 4th down in that spot, looks like 4th and exactly 1 yard. You can't take that chance the way the Gators have struggled to move the football in this game.
Yeah, and I agree with this call as well. Your defense has been playing extremely well. And the Gators come close to blocking that. It's a very short punt, fair caught at the 45-yard line. So officially a 20-yard punt, no return. And we'll get ready for our next drive.
Big spot here once again for the Gators. I said that last drive was a must score. If not last drive, I think certainly this one. The Pharaohs have been moving the ball well in this game. The Gators came up with a big stop right there, but Williams showed just how dynamic he can be at the quarterback position, nearly converted on that 3rd and long. And I think there's only so long you can keep this Brooklyn offense at bay if you're Harlem. Their defense has not played poorly by any stretch in this game. They've only allowed 12 points defensively. 6 of the Brooklyn points came on a pick 6, but this Gators offense really needs to get going, and I think now's the time.
Well, and if you take away the penalties, the Gators have been able to move the football, but penalties have really hurt them. The sacks have hurt them even more. Ugarte once again dancing in the pocket, and he almost had that ball stripped. He now gets it away. Now, will he be ruled in the grass? No, that's going to be just an incomplete pass. Ugarte did well to hang on to that ball. You could see it developing on his blind side, the defensive end coming in, looking to strip that ball out.
And Ugarte, if they don't run short routes, he doesn't have really anywhere to go with the football. It looked like down at the bottom of your screen, there was one man open on a curl route. That was about it. And when Ugarte's been in at quarterback, I've noticed he really favors the sideline passes, usually those short sideline routes. And then when he extends plays, that's when he can really hurt you down the field.
And the difference is that the Pharaohs are getting home with just their 4 pass rushers here. And with the Pharaohs not having the blitz to get pressure, everybody in coverage. Another short pass. This is Forio. Looks to make the first guy miss and is able to carry the defender an extra 5 or 6 yards to get the first down. Getting a healthy piece of the jersey was Romario Vincent. But we do have a flag down. Do we, Joe?
Yes, we do.
And there is the penalties that we've been talking about and how they have really affected this game. That is a first down taken off the board. And so it will be a 2nd down and 20 instead of what would have been a first down on the plus side of the 50. And those just hurt. Those just hurt so much, Joe. And the Gators probably have had just as many yards taken away from them as they have been able to move forward from ever since they scored that touchdown.
It's really been a tough time they've had avoiding the penalties, and that's made it all the more difficult on their offense.
Signal calling at the line of scrimmage for Forio. He takes a deep 5-step drop, goes to his left, and now finds the open man and getting it close to the 50 and closer still to the first down. Number 17, Dureg Gart. No, that can't be Dureg. Can it, Joe? Number 17? Or is that number 12? That was number 12. Apologies.
It can't be Dureg Gardner because he's on Harlem.
That's right. Well, thought it was.
I thought you were calling out the player who made the tackle. That's a 12,
That's 12,
Dave.
and it is
That's
again. It is Wilson
it's
again.
Wilson.
He's still on his feet inside the 30 to 27-yard line.
And I'll tell you, Dave, I saw that 12 earlier in the game, and I thought it was 17. So I certainly don't blame you on that one.
We have a timeout called by the Pharaohs immediately following that play, too. So the Pharaohs want nothing to do with what's been happening here. So immediately seeing those 2 plays, and those were back-to-back at the same play, Joe. They went right back to it. And Wilson made the catch again, turned it into another 20-plus yard gain, and the Pharaohs immediately called timeout and said, we need to put an end to that.
And I like that timeout by Julius Huesner and the Pharaohs bench. The Gators finally beginning to build some momentum on the offensive side of the ball, something that's been so difficult to do in large part because of those penalties you mentioned before. They've taken a lot of pre-snap penalties and have even had several penalties following the snap. It's been a tough go of it for Harlem on offense, but they've turned that around pretty quickly with these last 2 plays, and if they can get a score here, They are back to within one score, just like that, with still well over a quarter to go in this game. You have to think that we're at about the midway point of the third, perhaps a bit beyond that right now. So the Gators hope to get on the board next. They are poised in a position to do that right now, snapping this one from about the Pharaohs' 28-yard line. They need a score, and if they can get more plays like those last two, they're well on their way.
Absolutely, and the Gators know also that if they're able to punch something into the end zone here, we have got ourselves a brand new game. Obviously, they're still down by 10 and need 2 scores, but that would be the momentum shift that they're looking for. Remember, this was a 4-point game until the Pharaohs made a tremendous defensive play, interception return for a touchdown by Span. That's opened it back up to 10. Ugarte with an empty backfield, able to sit in the pocket, and that one is incomplete as it falls between a wide receiver and a pair of defenders. Once again, closest to it was Devin Hull.
There was a lot of traffic in that area of the field. There were 2 Gators receivers in the area, 3 Pharaohs defensive backs. That's a really risky looking pass in that situation.
Some risks the Gators will have to take. Obviously, down by 10 in the championship game. There's no game beyond today, so this is where you have to let it all hang out. Hit that. And that one is going up the middle on the designed run, and it will go for a first down for Ugarte, who's at the 15. And finally, Joe, a positive rushing play without the flag down on the field. That's something that the Gators welcome. 1st and 10 from the 15-yard line now. Fresh set of downs. Gators continue to work with an empty backfield. Ugarte, the one-handed corral, the snap, looking end zone, and just off the fingertips.
That was Davin Collins in there on the coverage, and that is a risky throw by Ugarte. We saw something similar last week when the Demon Knights were on offense against this Gators team. They had a chance to make it a one-score game and threw a high-risk pass down around the end zone. Here Ugarte takes what was probably an unnecessary chance in that spot. That was a tight window, and Collins was able to get up there and swat it down.
Yeah, it was put high enough where you think the receiver might have a chance above the extended Collins, but very dangerous because we know how quickly Collins closes that window that most quarterbacks believe is open.
I think the best path forward there for Ugarte may have been to run it.
Perhaps that's on the table here on 2nd and 10 from the 15. The pressure has been on Ugarte, but he's been able to roll out and find some space. Short drop, and that one skipped in on Foyo. And it'll be a 3rd down and 10. Pharaohs tightening up. Again, they got pressure in.
And we've seen this throughout the game, especially early in the game. Defense is getting tight around the goal lines. Both teams have done a pretty good job defending in the red zone during this game. They certainly haven't made it easy. We saw it on the Pharaohs' opening drive. They moved straight down the field, got into the red zone, and things got a bit more difficult. Here for the Gators now, they've moved inside of the red zone, and the Pharaohs' defense is beginning to tighten up. We'll see which team gets the better of this red zone confrontation.
Obviously, 4-play territory, so 2 plays here to get 10 for the Gators. Ugarte about 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, waiting in the shotgun. He does take it, steps up in the pocket, looks middle of the field, and 2 extended. And an incomplete pass will bring up 4th and 10.
And that was a good throw from David Ugarte right there. He stood in a collapsing pocket. The pressure was coming, and he had a very tight window to throw into there, looking for Kadeem Wilson. Wilson knew the threat of a big hit was incoming as well. He went up after that football, gave it all he had, and as you said, Dave, he was forced to extend for it, couldn't pull it in. A great effort by the quarterback and the receiver, Ugarte and Wilson on that play. Nothing to show for it for the Gators, and once again they find themselves in a 4th down situation.
So here we go. Biggest play right now and potential momentum shift in this game as the Gators' opportunities will dwindle here as time is running out in the 3rd quarter. 4th down and 10. Ugarte with some time. Looks in, but that looks to be short of the 1st down. He's about 2 yards shy, and the Gators are going to turn it over on downs.
The pass protection isn't holding up, Dave. You said it before. The Pharaohs have gotten pressure with 4. They've really taken away the Harlem running game. The Gators didn't look to put the ball on the ground at all during that drive. Ugarte has done a great job getting the ball out under pressure. These are not easy throws he's making. These are impressive passes. Yep. The pocket collapsing all around him. He stands tall, delivers a strike. But as you said, a yard or 2 short of the 1st down, that doesn't help you on 4th. And once again, the Pharaohs come up with a stop. Opportunities dwindling for Harlem, as you said, Dave. And once again, they turn to their defense to try and stay in this game.
Yeah, and a good job by the Pharaohs defense to really sit right at the sticks and allow that pass to be completed in front of them, but then the short tackling able to wrap up before the 1st down marker. So good heads up, knowing where that 1st down marker is, getting the great tackle. Williams, delayed handoff to Aiken. Aiken cuts it out to the left. He turns it back up inside, about 2 yards shy of the 1st down. It'll be 2nd down and 2, but you see Aiken, even on that play, Joe, knows he's got the sideline, decides to cut it right back up inside, stays in bounds, clock continues to run. It's only the 3rd quarter, but it's getting late early for the Gators.
It definitely is, and if the Gators are going to have a chance to get back into this game and make up this 2-score deficit, they have to stop Aiken. And so far, they have not been able to do that. The fumble they forced came against Hunter, and we haven't seen him since.
So here we go, 2nd down and 2. Aiken continues to be the running back to the right of Williams. There's the inside give. This time Aiken cuts it to the right side. Flags are down. Aiken gains past the 20. He's got the 1st down, but we'll see what the result of this call is. Injured Gator down. We'll stop the clock as well. We will have a holding against the Pharaohs.
And I believe that was DeRay Gardner who is down for Harlem on that play. Looked like he was holding his knee, and he has not gotten up since. That flag was thrown in the area of an illegal block, perhaps committed against Gardner, or potentially we may have had holding on the play as well. Here comes the call. And it's a personal foul.
And obviously the 1st down will be negated, although that is the end of the 3rd quarter as well, Joe. So we are heading to the final 15 minutes of this one. We're at the end of 3 complete. Score remains the same as it was at halftime. It is the Brooklyn Pharaohs 18 and the Harlem Gators 8. The final 15 coming up right after this. You're watching the EFA Championship on the PDF Sports Network.
This broadcast of the Elite Football Alliance is being brought to you by the Three Bleezies Entertainment Group on the Three Bleezies Facebook page. Catch the Three Bleezies weekly show as well as live recordings and all the opinions and all the unfiltered hot topics you've come to love about semi-pro. It's the resource for the EFA and semi-pro talk from the official source for all things Bleezy. The Three Bleezies Facebook page. Visit it now. Mundo, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back here. Start of the 4th quarter where we have an 18-8 Brooklyn Pharaohs lead. And the Gators from here on in have 2 opponents, the Pharaohs and the clock, as we are inside the final 15 minutes. Now, the Pharaohs were backed up after that penalty. Looks like it is still a first down and 10, but yardage-wise, they are deep in their own territory. Ball spotted inside the 10. Williams will throw it out into the sideline, and making the catch was Arzu, who's able to spin it into a healthy gain on the play. We'll see where this one gets spotted, but it will be enough for the first down.
And that's the way you want to open this quarter if you're the Pharaohs. Final quarter of this game. They are now less than 15 minutes away from their second consecutive EFA championship, and the pressure is firmly upon the shoulders of this Gators defense. They have to get off the field, and they have to do so quickly.
Ball spotted at the 17-yard line. Lights are on here in Facina. We are completely under the shadows here as dusk is upon us. Temperature has certainly dropped here in New Rochelle. Now the throw over to the opposite sideline, and another catch is made. Going out of bounds was Melia. Now another penalty flag is down. It will be an illegal block by the Pharaohs, and we're going to back this one up as well.
There's another Gator injured on the play as well as a result of the illegal block, or at least I would presume that's what caused the injury. And going back to that last play, aside from that block, Gators are giving a pretty healthy cushion to the receivers on the sideline. Looks like they're still concerned about the potential for a big play over the top. And if they give Kareem Wilson those throws short along the sidelines, he will take them. And I doubt we're going to see a shotgun pass or at least a deep drop on a pass play, but as they get closer to the end zone, they have to be sure that they don't take a safety here. That would make this a one-possession game.
Yeah, and the Pharaohs have not convinced the Gators that they're going to just run the football out here. This is the delayed handoff to Aiken. Aiken has a hole in the middle of the field, finally spilled at about the 23-yard line. But he got a lot of that penalty yardage back and then some. It'll be a second down and about 5. Maybe a little bit more, 2nd and 6.
Well, if we were to name a championship game MVP, Aiken is certainly making his case, the way he's run the football throughout the entirety of this game. But each carry here becomes bigger and bigger in the second half. He is keeping the ball with Brooklyn, and he is gaining chunks of yards on each carry.
So 2nd and 6 yards to go. Very manageable here after being pinned down in the shadow of their own goalpost. Passes out to the flat, Arzu. He is very close to the first down. We'll see where they spot this. If it's a third down, it'll be very short. Simple pitch and catch there. Williams to Arzu. Let's see, they will move the sticks, so that is enough for a Pharaohs first down. And the Gators with a great opportunity to pin the Pharaohs deep in, get the ball back. Unable to force a fourth down, let alone a third. A third down, let alone a fourth, I should say.
The Harlem defense right now has found themselves in such a tough spot. They need to get off the field. They commit more defenders to the box to stop the run. The Pharaohs run a play where they fake it to the back and throw it short to the flat. Huge open area for Arzu. He picked up the first down easily, and now Brooklyn has called timeout. But if you're the Gators and you commit 6 or more to the box, it opens up the ability for Brooklyn to throw to the flat as they did on that last play. And it makes it a really tough tackle for a defensive back one-on-one in the open field. In the case of that last play, Arzu was already moving toward the sideline. He caught that ball with a running start. It makes the tackle even more difficult in that case. So Brooklyn doing the right thing here, continuing to bleed this clock. They're completing passes. They are running the football. And right now, Harlem has no answer defensively.
Yeah, that time, Williams did not like what he saw lining up there, so he called the timeout. So for the Pharaohs, I believe that's the second timeout that they've called. So they're down to 1. But very important here for the Pharaohs, and you could sense it too. They don't want to make that debilitating mistake and give the ball back to the Gators. They have nowhere they need to be. They have a 10-point lead, the ball in their hands, so safety first in these situations for sure.
A turnover is the one thing that can happen here that the Pharaohs simply cannot afford. You do have margin for error leading by 2 scores. You cannot afford to give Harlem a chance deep in your own territory by way of a turnover.
1st and 10 after the timeout. The give once again is up the middle to Aiken. He busts it out to the 50. It's a foot race from here. The 30, the 20, the 10. Will he make it? Just short.
Silence has fallen upon the Harlem sideline as they are once again shell-shocked by Aiken. A huge carry. He is taken down just short of the goal line. How big of a tackle was that? As the Gators will have one last chance to come up with a huge stop on their own goal line. That ball is spotted inside the 1. It would take a monumental defensive stand for Harlem here, but that is what they are hoping for in this spot. And for the Pharaohs, they may be 1 yard away, and perhaps a 2-point conversion after that from clinching an EFA championship. The conversion in this spot would make it a 3-score game. I think that might just put this one away. If they only score a touchdown, it remains a 2-possession game.
And it will be a shotgun snap to Williams. Thought about taking himself, looks in the back of the end zone. It is a touchdown. Now there is a flag down, and they were down early. Melia scored it as the Gators cheated up once Williams broke out. We'll see what the call is. Certainly the body language looks like this will be against the Pharaohs.
And I've said it all game long. The Gators couldn't afford penalties to hurt themselves while on offense. First of all, I'm surprised that the Pharaohs would pass there. The way that Aiken is running on 1st down from inside the 1, I think you have to at least give him 1 carry. Now, the penalty there hurts, but the ultimate result of the play was a touchdown. What impact the holding had on that is tough to tell from the replay, but now you have a 1st and goal from outside of the 15-yard line. That was a 15-yard personal foul on the play against the Pharaohs.
So now, 1st and goal from the 16. Williams, he's under pressure, middle of the field. That one's too far into the middle of the field, intended for Mims. 2nd and goal.
That was a cover 2 zone look from the Gators, and Mims found the opening. He got to the spot quickly. That throw just off target from Williams, one of the rare mistakes he's made in this game. He's done everything that the Pharaohs have needed him to do. Has protected the football and has put the ball on target when the chance has presented itself to throw. Now, he hasn't had to throw too often. The highlight reel play for him was that throw on the run toward the sideline.
Yeah, and Joe, I'm with you on that 1st and goal. I wondered why they didn't give it once again to Aiken, who you'd like to think deserved the touchdown. I don't know if he went out and got himself a breather after that, but it is another delayed run. Aiken up the middle, and he spins and twists and turns to about the 11-yard line, maybe the 10. So he gets about 5 or 6 on the play, gets him a little closer, 3rd and goal.
That penalty against the Pharaohs is huge. You now have a 3rd and goal from outside of the 10-yard line. You have 2 shots at the end zone. There's no doubt they'll go for it here. But if you're the Gators, you have to like the spot you're in defensively to get a stop. Now, the spot that you're in to win the game is a tenuous one at best. You still would need to drive the length of the field if you do get a stop here. But as a defense, in doing your job and getting off the field, you have to like the situation you're in here. You know the offense has to get into the end zone. No opportunity for a 1st down. And a chance here for this Harlem defense to give the ball back to their offense, perhaps one final time with a chance to get back in this game.
So officially 3rd and goal from the 10. And it looks like flags are down. False start. No, delay of game. Delay of game on the Pharaohs. Now, obviously it cost them 5 yards, but you see with a 10-point lead, the Pharaohs utilizing every single second that they can off the clock. We don't officially know how much time is left. You'd like to think that the Gators should have 1 or 2 possessions left in this one. But they've got to get off the field, as you mentioned, Joe, and they'll have to redo third down. 3rd and goal from just outside the 15 now.
And there's nothing that could possibly have benefited the Pharaohs in the spot more than a score and a chance to make it a 3-possession game with a 2-point try. They may have gotten a little too cute on that first down play call, and now they find themselves in a really tough spot. 3rd and goal from about the 15-yard line.
And do you risk putting this one into the end zone? We will see. Williams, that one came out funny. Looked like his hand might have gotten held up on the release or batted down. Now there is a flag down. The pass was ruled incomplete, and holding is called on the Pharaohs. So here's an interesting decision, Joe. Do you make it a 4th and goal from the 16 or a 3rd and goal from the 26? That is the question facing head coach Patterson and the Gators at this point.
They declined, Dave.
All right, so it'll be a 4th down and goal from the 16-yard line. And there's nowhere to go with this ball except the end zone if you're Williams. If the goal is to simply work field position, then perhaps you do give an inside draw here, try to gain another 5-10 yards, pin the Gators in deep. But how big was that tackle at the 1-yard line on Aiken if this is not converted? That might be the play of the game. Who knows?
Could be, depending on the final result.
Aiken is to the left of Williams. 4 wide receivers. Flags are down. This could be a free play, and it's close to the goal line, but that pass was thrown to the inside of Mosby. Dangerous there, and it's against the defense.
It's an offsides call against the Gators.
Wow.
Another shot for the Pharaohs, and you'll get a look at that last play once again right here. Mosby, the intended target. If they snap this ball from 5 yards closer, that pass is potentially completed for a touchdown. They get those 5 yards right here. So we'll see what the Gators can do defensively. There was definitely room to be had near that pylon along the near sideline. You have to presume the coverage balanced on both sides would have allowed for the same room along the far side.
So many storylines going into this play. 4th down and goal from just outside the 10. 4 wide receivers once again. Aiken to the left. He's in to block only. Pass, and it's unable to be brought in by Mims. He had it on his shoulder pad and unable to hold on. So the Gators will take over, as making the play was our infamous number 5, Devin Hall Sr. And the Gators still have some life.
Well, Dave, when that ball was in flight, I thought for sure Mims had it. He was one-on-one, which I could not believe. That was the matchup that they had for Mims, one-on-one. I thought for sure that they'd try and put 2 defenders in his area. We've already seen how dangerous he can be on those high passes. And that was effectively a one-on-one jump ball in the end zone. You can't ask for a much better look than that if you're the Pharaohs on a 4th down and goal from about the 10. And what could have been a potential game-clinching touchdown is through the fingertips of Mims. And now Stephen Colon back in at quarterback for Harlem.
Yep. First action since the first half of this one. Has a little time to throw, still surveying, looks middle of the field and wide open. The Gators are there to convert the first down and more at the 32-yard line. Peeling himself up slowly was Wilson. But conversion successful. That's a gain of 21 on the play. And that all happens because Cologne had plenty of time to throw.
He got the ball out just in time.
3-man rush by the Pharaohs. Cologne is able to step up. He gains the 40, twists to the 41-yard line. And he is close to a first down.
He got that ball covered up just in time at the end of that run. As he was carrying it out across the 40, I'm thinking to myself, cover that football. He was carrying it a bit loosely. He was able to get two hands on it at the last moment.
Wonder if the Pharaohs will bring in another rusher here. They were getting pressure with 4 down linemen. They've gone down to 3 now. And again, more time to throw for Cologne. He steps up in the pocket. Cologne will once again tuck it down. This time he gains about 5 or 6 on the play. Clock has been stopped. You wonder if there was a timeout called here and how much time indeed there is remaining.
There's a flag on the near
there
side.
Is. Yeah, right here, obscured by the Harlem Gators sideline.
It's against the Pharaohs. They're asking David Patterson
Correct.
what he wants to do.
Now, the result of the play was 6 yards. We'll see if it's either a 1st and 5 or a 2nd and 4 that they, although they moved it back to the original line of scrimmage, and now they're going to walk off 5 yards. So instead of a 2nd and 4, Joe, they've opted for a 1st and 5. So just for the sake of getting more plays, distance mattering less at this point than having a fresh set of downs. But you see the Pharaohs' pressure has relented a little bit since they've gone down to just 3 defensive linemen. We'll see now if they'll put a little bit more pressure on Cologne. Meanwhile, this was a nice little break for the Gators, whose receivers have been all over the field there on these first 3 or 4 plays. Gives them a little bit of a respite. Gators, as usual, not going with anybody in the backfield. Cologne has to get away, and this time he cannot. A sack of 10 yards as the Pharaohs get in with just 3 linemen rushing, and it'll make it a 2nd and 16.
And that's a huge sack for this Brooklyn defense. It slows down the progression of this Harlem offense. And for Cologne, there's really nowhere to go with that football unless he throws it hot over the middle. That was the only option on that play. They are taking away the sidelines from him now, especially following that pick 6, not giving him the opportunity to get rid of the ball quickly to the sidelines. So he's been forced to run twice. That time he couldn't escape. But how about this Pharaohs defensive line in this game tonight? They've been fantastic for 4 quarters.
And now they put an extra lineman, so there'll be 4 coming in. Now potential blitz from the left side. They take it off. The pass is thrown. It's almost picked off, but it ends up incomplete. That one hung up there a little bit too long, and it will be 3rd down and long.
That was the hot read for Cologne. He sensed the pressure, got the ball out well ahead of the receiver's break. It was on target, but you said it, Dave. That ball floated in there just a bit. Not a lot behind it, and I think the reason for that was at the end to Cologne's right. Got a hand up. I don't think the pass was tipped, but I think he forced Cologne to try and put a little more air under that ball, and he sacrificed some velocity on that pass to get it over the outstretched arm of the defensive line.
Wonder if the Gators will combat this rush with maybe getting someone out of the backfield here for a quick play at the line of scrimmage on 3rd and long. It's been tough for Cologne to read down the field with all those yellow jerseys invested in downfield coverage. There is a play that ends up at the 45. First wave misses, and still on his feet, 1st down, as the Gators able to convert.
I believe that was Forio, Dave. As he gets fired up, trying to energize his teammates, Harlem hurries to the line.
Big conversion, gain of 20 when they needed 16. The Gators still alive, high snap. Looks in the flat, and that one is too high.
They had Wilson in there.
Yep, and we had...
I didn't see Cologne
well,
make his way off the field. I think he was off ahead of that previous play.
Well, who threw the ball?
Wilson did on both plays.
Ah. Well, Ugarte was the intended receiver. Unless there's another 0 on the Gators team, it was Ugarte who got up and tried to extend for that. And he's come back to the sideline in some pain. But, yes, indeed, it is Wilson who's back under center, and he is bottled up for a sack at the 50.
Harlem is trying everything offensively in this game to try and get going, and unfortunately for them, nothing has worked. They've shuffled in and out 3 different quarterbacks in this game. They really got away from running the football pretty early, but that was due in part to the 2-score deficit.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm taking a look at Ugarte on the sideline, Joe, and he ran into the game, and then he was called back out of the game, and he's visibly frustrated on the Gators sideline. So you wonder what's happening here with the quarterback play, but it is Wilson. Shotgun formation. Once again, looking to tuck it down. That pass is short, and obviously incomplete. It'll be 4th down and 16. But again, here comes Ugarte racing back onto the field. This time he will stay out there. No, actually, that is not Ugarte. Sorry about that. It was Ramsey who came in on that last substitution. Haven't seen a great deal from him as a playmaker in this one. It continues to be Wilson at quarterback. High snap. He takes it. Takes it under. He does have a lot of green in front of him. Can he turn it into a first down? He can. He's past the 30, the 20, and closing in on the 15-yard line.
Unbelievable play, Dave. As Wilson had one man ahead of him lead blocking, I cannot believe they didn't spy him on that 4th down. A huge play. Harlem is right back in it.
And now we have whistles as potentially a timeout here for Brooklyn. That might have been their final timeout. And indeed, we get the thumbs up that, according to our records, that is their last timeout. But the Gators are in business. And what has to be one of the oddest drives we have seen, Joe, in the EFA season. I mean, 3rd and 16, 4th and 16, another 4th and 16. And the conversions had Gators not going down without a fight.
They are battling until the very last whistle, and they are still very much in this game. They have 2 timeouts. We've yet to reach the 2-minute warning. Their deficit still only 10 points, but we've seen drives stall down in this area of the field for both teams. It looked like the Pharaohs were 1 yard away from potentially clinching this game and an EFA championship. They chose to pass and got called for holding, and that backed them up 10 yards. They did not sniff the goal line again. A potential touchdown grab went through the hands of the Kyrie Mims, and that gave the ball back to Harlem on a 4th and 16. Wilson somehow was able to break it up through the line of scrimmage and carry it for 34 yards.
Yeah.
And that sets the Gators up here. The Gators have had 2 miraculous conversions on 4th down in this game. Were it not for the first one, they would have no points.
That's true. That also came on a 4th and long. Now the Gators can get a first down without scoring a touchdown here. The ball is spotted at about the 20-yard line, just inside the 20. A lot of time. The throw to the corner of the end zone. Touchdown!
And Dave, that's what they call a dot. What a pass from Wilson. He faked forward as if he was going to run, and he found Forio in the back corner of the end zone. That pass barely cleared the outstretched arms of a defensive back. An incredible throw by Wilson, and the Gators are right back in it. He took a step forward, and that ball just cleared the outstretched arms of the DB. I believe that was Span on the coverage. It was. He already has a pick 6 in this game, and he could not get to that one as he just missed it.
And that was following a Brooklyn Pharaohs timeout as well. So the Gators got a lot of time to think about what they wanted to do there, and that's what they dialed up. It looked like that was the read from the get-go, Joe, and now it's an 18-14 game. And the Gators with a chance to make it a 2-point game here on this conversion attempt. It is taken right off the snap. They look for the pylon, and they do get in there for the 2-point conversion. Wilson took it himself, and he's been this fourth quarter hero so far for the Gators. It's now 18-16, but they're still on the negative side of this scoreboard, Joe. So the Gators will have to get this ball back, and we'll see what they opt to do here on the kickoff.
Well, that conversion still matters because if the Pharaohs do score a touchdown, possibly on a kick return or a big run, maybe even a big pass, though I don't think we'll see them pass too early in the drive. If the Brooklyn Pharaohs do score, they go ahead by 8. Harlem would still have a chance to stop them on the 2-point try and keep this a one-possession game. Now, it's unlikely that the Pharaohs would score a touchdown and still leave Harlem with enough time to respond, but if it does happen, that 2-point conversion could prove consequential. This Gators defense will take the field with their team trailing by a pair. We still have the 2-minute warning and still 2 timeouts left for Harlem. This game is far from over. Tremendous resilience shown by the Gators.
Right, and Joe, you know, with the usual starting field position being the 40, if you're the Gators here, do you think about an early onside kick here outside the 2-minute warning?
I wouldn't, but I wouldn't be shocked if they did attempt it. I wouldn't do it. Brooklyn hasn't moved the ball that well in the second half so far.
Right.
So I definitely would not try the onside kick in this spot, though I think Brooklyn may have their eyes directed in a bit on this potential kickoff, because if Harlem does try it, they need to be ready. And if you take a look toward that far side, there's a lot of bodies in that area of the field.
And Joe, remember that tackle at the 1-yard line that saved the touchdown. The Gators get it back on the turnover on downs, go down the field, and this is a 2-point game instead of it potentially being an 18-point game with the ball back in their hands.
I tried to get a look at who it was who made that tackle on the replay at the time. Didn't catch it, but I said earlier in the game that the pick 6 was the pivotal play. If the Gators do come back and win this game, there will be no bigger play in this game than that tackle that got it started, as they do try an onside kick, and that didn't work.
No, and that one never did take an odd bounce. It kind of landed right in on Christian Doug, is it? Christian Doig?
I would go with Doig.
Yep, so would I. Now, so after that, the Pharaohs will get the ball at the 45-yard line, the plus side of the 50. Now, we did mention the Gators unofficially have 2 timeouts remaining and the 2-minute warning. We don't know exactly how much time is left, but we have to think that the fourth quarter is winding down.
If I had to guess, it would probably take 3 first downs for the Pharaohs to clinch this game without giving the ball back to Harlem. You figure they have the 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. I think there's enough time left where they could pick up a first down, and then after that we would see Harlem perhaps start to use their timeouts. At the very most, I think 3 first downs would bring us to the end of the game.
You wonder if they do anything but run. Remember that last drive, 73-yard run, got them at the 1. That's Aiken. He's going to be bottled up, and that'll be a loss, a heavy loss of about 5 or 6 yards on the play. Gators knew it was coming, and we have a timeout. I believe a timeout whistled by the Gators, so that will bring them down to 1 timeout remaining.
Well, I like that timeout. Sometimes you see teams save the timeouts late in the game, but after you stuff a running play on first down for a nice loss, I like that timeout. I think the Gators now are committed to getting a stop on this set of downs and will likely sell out to do so. And we saw on that first handoff, they had no less than 3 or 4 players in the backfield immediately after that ball was snapped. They knew what was coming, and they were not going to let the Gators run the football.
And you wonder, too, Joe, on the opposite side, on the far side of the field with the Pharaohs, what are they thinking about here? Do you risk putting the ball up in the air and stopping the clock on a potential incomplete pass on a 2nd down and 16 or a 3rd and 16 if it gets that far? Or do you commit yourself to having the Gators use their timeouts here, keep the ball via the ground game?
They've had the openings on 3rd and 4th down to complete passes. That potential touchdown went through the hands of Mims, and I think I mistakenly said that they wouldn't let the Gators run the football. I meant that the Gators would not let the Pharaohs run the football, of course, in this spot. But if I'm Brooklyn, I think you have to put the ball in the air at least once, if not on this play. You cannot concede the ball back to the Gators in this spot. You have to, at the very least, try to get the 1st down, especially when you're at midfield.
Well, the Pharaohs will not apologizing for putting the ball up in the air. That's for sure. That's how they got here. That's how they continue here as Williams takes it himself. He makes one man miss. Now, there are flags down. He gets close to the 1st down mark. He's about 4 yards short. Players are down everywhere. Flags are down as well. This looks like it could be in the vicinity of holding.
It was a penalty against the Pharaohs. I think we had an illegal block in the back. We have players down for both teams, an offensive lineman for Brooklyn, and I'm not sure if it's a defensive back or potentially a linebacker in the secondary for Harlem. But that's going to set up a 2nd and very long now after what was a big run by Kareem Williams is negated.
Yeah,
see if we can spot the penalty.
Vaughn West is the player down for the Pharaohs. And for the Gators, looks like Tariq Noble, who's been all over the place on defense, he is down for the Gators.
Taking a look at that replay, it looked like we had an offensive lineman on Brooklyn taken down low. And then after that, the offensive lineman, when he was on his way down to the turf, grabbed the jersey of a Gator who was pursuing the play. That may have been where the flag came in.
So when this gets all sorted, Joe, we might have them all the way back. 2nd down. It was a 2nd and 16, so let's see if we get another look at it here on the replay of where that developed. Yeah, we saw one body, a couple bodies go down there. 2nd down and looks like 23 or 24. It's long, and we'll see if the Pharaohs put it up here. Gators still with 1 timeout remaining and the 2-minute warning. They do give it inside once again to Aiken. He'll move the pile about a yard or 2, but that's it. And it'll be 3rd and long.
Judging by that play call, Dave, I would guess they may be content to punt it back to Harlem because they did not seem to be trying to do much there other than keep the clock running.
So the Gators have not used their final timeout. So 3rd down and 20 upcoming.
If you're Harlem defensively here, do not make the same mistake Brooklyn made. Put a spy on the quarterback.
Absolutely, and of course, you cannot afford a late flag on this either. Make the play, get off the field. Looks like this could be an official whistle here. Is it the 2-minute warning?
I did not see a signal for 2-minute warning.
Not yet,
but this is an official's timeout.
See if I can hear what's going on.
They'll have that much more time to think about it. We said before, Pharaohs elected not to spy Wilson. He then broke off a 34-yard run on 4th down.
Unless the conversation here, Joe, is about, you know, what time is left, and maybe Coach Patterson wants an explanation of why the clock was running or whether he did call a timeout or not. We're not really sure. But that was definitely an official whistle. And play will resume, and I think the clock will start as we get this play underway. 3rd down and 20. Shotgun formation. The give is on the inside to Aiken. Aiken makes one man miss. The ball is down, but he was down by contact. He got about 8 on the play. It'll be 4th and 12. So decision time here for the Pharaohs as they have the ball at the Gators 45. Now, a couple of players are still down here after the play.
Well, I don't have a number 87 on my Gators roster, Dave, but I believe it was the player wearing number 87 who made a huge tackle on that play, because Aiken had found his way into the second level, and he was one broken tackle away from breaking that for a first down run.
Yeah, his forward momentum, he was running downhill fast, and that got interrupted by the play.
We'll get one more look at it here.
Remember how, yeah, it's an exceptional play. Remember how close both teams have been to blocking punts in this game as well, Joe. That's something else to look out here for if the Pharaohs indeed are going to punt this one away, which we expect them to do, and force the Gators to go the entire length of the field, potentially with no timeouts or just a 2-minute warning to go.
Did they call timeout after that last play?
No, not that I'm aware, Joe.
Coach
And
Patterson
it
just
is.
called timeout.
He did, and it is the Gators' final timeout by our count anyway. Now, remember, the clock was stopped because of the injury, Joe. So as they wound the clock back up, that's when Coach Patterson called his timeout. So it's not that there was a lot of time that escaped there, although I'm sure they're getting it sorted, the official time that is left.
Well, if they're using a timeout in that spot, I suspect that we've already reached the 2-minute warning. I could be wrong, but if the Gators are burning a timeout there, you have to think we've already reached the 2-minute warning.
Well, Joe, we've been locked in on the official here, and we haven't really gotten that signal. But
I definitely didn't pick it up if there was one, but I think if you're using a timeout in that spot, either you have one left and our count is wrong, or we've reached the 2-minute warning. Because as we saw last weekend, we didn't cover the game, but the Bears learned in the harshest fashion possible the importance of having a timeout left when you're going for a potential game-winning score.
100%. Remember, last year's EFA championship was decided by just 2 points. Pharaohs won that one by a score of 8-6. They have a 2-point lead in this one, 4th and 12 upcoming. They showed punt, obviously, and looks like that is what will happen. And when the Gators do get the ball back, if they indeed do, they'll have no timeouts and will have to go, you would think, 70, 80-plus yards. But after that last drive, everything is on the table here.
Well, if you take a look back there at the punter spot, that is not the same punter that we've had all game.
Right. Remember, Mims is...
Is that Mims?
It is. And remember, he's the one who had a punt blocked and returned it for a touchdown against the Legion earlier this season on that incredible play. Top 3, for sure, of the season.
Devon West has been punting all night. This is Mims back to punt.
Remember, West was down. And that's a high snap. It does come down. It is punted straight up in the air. Very, very short punt. And it will be down at the 32-yard line. So a net of only 16 yards on the punt. But the Gators will get it back. No timeouts remaining. We're a little unsure of how much time is on the game clock. And the Gators, 67 yards away from potentially taking this 2022 EFA championship from the defending champs, the Brooklyn Pharaohs. But I think, Joe, either way, this is the drive that will determine the EFA championship.
I don't think there's much doubt about that one, Dave. The Gators have no timeouts left. The Pharaohs have no timeouts left. We've said it all season long. It appeared that these two teams were on a collision course to meet for round 3. They meet in the championship game. It's coming down to the final possession. You can't ask for anything more than this.
100%, Joe, and here we go. 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line, officially here for the Gators. Wilson goes back to pass, puts one up, way up. Could it be? No, it's overthrown. That ball was almost 60 yards in the air, and the Gators were looking for the home run on 1st down.
And how about that battle in the secondary? Collins against Wilson, two of the biggest playmakers for each of these two teams. They are going one-on-one with the championship on the line. What a throw by Wilson. He got clobbered in between two defensive linemen. And I can't tell if he's down on a knee shaken up or if he's just in the middle of the huddle right now. I think he's tying his shoe. So he's okay, but that is some throw. You said it, 60 yards in the air as he was about to take a hit from two defensive linemen. That's as impressive as a throw as we've seen since that Williams throw on the run.
And the usual two Gators quarterbacks that we've seen all year long, Cologne and Ugarte, together on the sideline, flanked by their coach. Certainly don't look injured, but this game has been put into the hands of Wilson. Shotgun, snap. The look is over to the sideline. Does he have 1 foot in, Joe? Out of bounds. Out of bounds was the call there. Once again, Devin Hull Sr. thought he was in, pled his case, Joe, but it'll be 3rd and 10.
And the same spectator who went down earlier is down on the sideline again.
Well, we don't know if that's a coach or a spectator, but
I think it's a family member of a player.
Oh, and they are down, and hopefully they are okay.
They stopped the game before because it had taken place closer to the field of play. But don't let that take away from this big 3rd down and 10 here. We saw Wilson look to run fairly quickly on most of the snaps he had taken early in this outing. Looked to throw the last two. He'll likely look to throw it again here.
Pharaohs with 4 down linemen. They don't look like they will blitz. They do get home. And once again, a seam for Wilson. He has the 1st down and more, past the 45 to the 48-yard line. Once again, the clock is running. Gators getting to the line of scrimmage early.
Dave, they have to spy him.
Have to spy him for sure. They thought they were going to get home. Defensive ends overcommit. Here we go. 1st and 10 from the 48. Clock continues to run. Shotgun formation. Wilson with plenty of time. Middle of the field and almost picked off. Almost intercepted.
That was Malik Sanders, the 6'4", 210-pound linebacker. And if he pulls that in, the Pharaohs win. And that's as good of an opportunity as you can ask for.
Yeah, he had to elevate just a bit, but that ball was in his hands. That should have been caught. And perhaps thinking that surprised Sanders a little bit. One positive thing for the Gators is that the clock stops with that incompletion. 2nd down and 10. Receivers get a bit of a blow here. Reset themselves. Second down and 10. High snap. Corralled by Wilson. He's got some time. Looking sideline, and that is too far out of bounds. It was caught, but it was caught out of bounds. It'll be up 3rd and 10.
3 words on that play. Not by much. That was awfully close along that near sideline. And given the fact that we haven't seen him all season long at the quarterback position, I am thoroughly impressed by the arm on Wilson. He is throwing some long passes down the field, and it appears he is doing so effortlessly in a collapsing pocket under pressure. This has been a very impressive showing from him after he appeared a bit hesitant to throw the ball when he first came into the game.
Certainly seems poised in that pocket for sure, and who knew he existed at quarterback before today. Certainly wasn't on our radar. 3rd down and 10, another big 3rd down. Will they spy Wilson? They bring in an extra rusher. Wilson under heavy pressure. He goes down at the 40. Down at the 40, a loss of 7 on the play. It'll be 4th and 17, and the Gators cannot spike the football here. They have to get a play off. They are rushing back. We are in the waning, dying moments of this game. Gators perhaps with one final opportunity. Here comes the rush. Plenty of time for Wilson. Nothing happening at the line of scrimmage. Wilson gets through one tackle, gets through another. He's at the 50, the 40, the 35, and is down there, 1st down. But can the Gators spike the football?
Unbelievable play. How did Wilson pick up that first? They are going to spike it, and they are able to clock it in time. How did Wilson do it?
I don't know, but he seemed dead to rights 2 or 3 times. And they're able to spike the ball and at least get the clock stopped here, Joe. But like we said before, in the dying moments of this one, take another look at it on your screen. It looks like the line of scrimmage is just kind of walking in place. And how he is able to get past this, you can't really fault the coverage. They're back guarding against the receivers going down the field. They know they need the home run ball, so we get a flag down. Delay of game looks like it's the call. That'll back them up to about the 40. It's a pretty big 5 yards here at this area of the field. It's so unfortunate, Joe, that we do not have a clock here because we don't know if there's a play left, 2 plays left, maybe potentially 3 plays left. It's so hard to tell. But if this is the final play, those 5 yards are a big difference here.
I don't think there's any doubt Wilson can reach the end zone on a throw.
5 seconds. There are 5 seconds left, Joe. We've just gotten the notice. 5 seconds. This is the final play of the game. This is it. 1 play to determine the EFA championship. Pharaohs up by 2. A desperation play. The pressure is there. Wilson putting it in the end zone. It is up for grabs. Did someone come down with it? No, incomplete. The Pharaohs are the 2022 EFA champions. They hold on to defeat the Gators 18-16.
What an effort by Harlem, Dave. They were down 2 possessions late in this game. They pick up a touchdown to make it a 2-point game. They get the stop they needed on defense, but they could not close it out with a game-winning drive. We'd already seen Harlem walk it off against the New York Bears on the road earlier this season. They could not put together a repeat effort here in the EFA championship as the Pharaohs have won it by a final score of 18-16. They pull it out in the championship game for the 2nd consecutive year by just 2 points. There you see our final up on the screen. Brooklyn over Harlem by 2. And Dave will head down to the field to get a live look at the championship celebration as the Brooklyn Pharaohs have won the 2022 Elite Football Alliance title. We will take a look back at that last play of the game in just a moment. The one play that decided it all, a heave to the end zone by Wilson on the final play of the game as the Pharaohs hold on to defeat the Gators 18-16. Here's a look at it, and Wilson came into this game late. We will be joined by Dave down on the field as the trophy is presented to Brooklyn. They defeat the Harlem Gators by just 2 points in this EFA championship game. And what a game it was. The Pharaohs jumped out to an early lead. They drove straight down the field on their opening drive to go ahead by a touchdown in the first quarter. They led it 6-0 in the opening minutes. Their first score came on a touchdown reception by Roland Arzu. That pass, of course, from Kareem Williams. The Pharaohs then took a 12-0 lead after that. That touchdown came in the second quarter. It was Khalil Doumbia from Williams for the second Brooklyn Pharaohs touchdown. Stephen Colon then connected on a 27-yard touchdown pass to Dominic Page, a miraculous 4th down conversion on that play. That made it a 12-6 game. The 2-point try was successful. Harlem pulled back to within 2. We then had what I would argue might be the biggest play of this game. It was a 33-yard pick 6 of Stephen Colon by Marcus Spann. That put the Pharaohs back ahead by 2 scores. They led it 18-8. Gerald Wilson, who came in at quarterback for the Gators, completed a 20-yard touchdown pass to Wesley Forio in the closing minutes of the fourth quarter. The 2-point try then made it a 2-point game. as the Pharaohs got the ball back, leading 18-16. They went 3 and out. Harlem then had a chance to win it, and they come up just short. Nonetheless, the Gators dedicated this season to their late former head coach, Coach D, Duron Hickman, and they did a great job playing in his honor this season. A banner honoring the late Coach D hangs in the end zone, and it was the end zone that the Gators were driving towards in an effort to win it with a touchdown at the end of regulation. They could not come away with that score, and they fall by just 2 points. Several of the coaches and players gathered around that banner, hung in memory of Coach D. Right now, they just exchanged handshakes with the victorious Brooklyn Pharaohs down on the field, and Dave is awaiting his opportunity to speak with some of the winning players and coaches from the Brooklyn sideline. Right now, they are in the midst of a championship celebration. They have won the Elite Football Alliance title for the 2nd consecutive year, and they did so with a victory over this Harlem Gators team for the 2nd time this season. Looking back to the regular season, these two teams met twice before. The Gators took the first meeting back in week 2. That game was played on August 6th. Harlem defeated Brooklyn 20-16. The Pharaohs took the second meeting by 4 points. That game an 18-14 final. And then here tonight in round 3, the Elite Football Alliance Championship, Brooklyn Pharaohs defeat Harlem Gators by a final score of 18-16, as we have a Gatorade bath down on the field. Head coach of the Pharaohs is Julius Huesner. We spoke to him during the pregame. Dave had a word with him ahead of kickoff. I think we might hear from Coach Huesner again following this championship celebration, as the Pharaohs are your 2022 Elite Football Alliance champions. And I see Dave outside of that celebration. He's looking to get a word with some of the players and perhaps their head coach, Huesner, once again. Right now, Dave's on the outside looking in. He's having a bit of a tough time getting in the middle of all the players and coaches. He's joined by our secondary camera operator, Patrick, downfield as well. Patrick made his on-air debut earlier this season. We saw the Bears take on this Gators team.
And listen up!
That was a win for Harlem.
And the 2022 EFA champions, the Brooklyn Pharaohs!
As the Pharaohs continue their celebration just to the right of the 50-yard line. But in just a few moments, Dave will have a word
5K.
with some of the players and coaches, and we'll bring that to you here on the PDF Sports Network. So
I don't know if this was on. It's on.
More players joining the fray from over on the bench. I'm still up in the press box, so I'm quite far away from this celebration. And it's hard to bring you the details of what's going on inside of that crowd of players, though our secondary camera's likely giving you a great look at it. Brooklyn Pharaohs, your 2022 Elite Football Alliance champions, lost just one game all season and nearly didn't make it here. That one loss, as I mentioned, came to this Harlem Gators team, and they had a big scare last weekend against the New York Bears. They trailed by 6 late in the fourth quarter. They get a return touchdown on special teams to tie the score at 6. They convert on the 2-point try to go ahead by a pair. And then following a 10-second runoff at the end of the game, the Bears run out of time. As it appears, Dave is being joined by the quarterback of the victorious Brooklyn Pharaohs. That is Kareem Williams joining Dave, and we'll throw it down to Dave right here for an exclusive interview with quarterback of the Brooklyn Pharaohs, Kareem Williams.
Kareem Williams, Reem, how does this one feel, man? I really don't know how to feel right now. Sink all of this in. It's more than a game, you know. We're playing this for my brother I lost, Danny, and it's not sinking in yet. You know what I'm saying? As far as we came, you know, we came from a spring team. They said we couldn't do it in the summer. Went back-to-back in the summer and went to Nationals, won that too. So we're looking forward to being back in Nationals. This is not the end right now.
Reem, you've been a part of a lot of championships with this team. Is this one a little bit extra special because of what you've lost?
You know what it is? After every championship, they talk shit about us, but I feel like this one right here stamped it. We proved the world that we ain't nobody. We ain't no little kids. You know what I'm saying? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. That's 6 right there for us.
Absolutely. These guys love you. Congratulations, man.
I appreciate it. Let me put my mask on though.
That was Dave's conversation with the victorious quarterback, Kareem Williams of the Brooklyn Pharaohs. But Dave has yet another guest down on the field, so we'll throw it right back to him as he is joined by Pharaohs defensive end Malachi Bucknell. A great effort from the Brooklyn defense tonight. They shut down the Gators' running game, kept pressure on the quarterbacks all night long. Dave joined by Malachi Bucknell down on the field.
Here with Malachi Bucknell. Malachi, defensive MVP. How does that feel for you today?
I ain't gonna lie, it feels awesome because I definitely try to call this. I wanted to get one for the defense big time, especially in the big game. I really wanted to get one. You feel me? I feel like I definitely have the tools. My teammates believe in me enough for me to go out there and perform and deliver. And I definitely did that.
Congratulations, Mally! I'll tell you what, it took some heavy defense there at the end, man. They made you guys sweat that one out.
Nigga Mally was wilding out, boy! You know, real talk, I want to say shout out to the Gators. I know what they was fighting for. I definitely appreciate the battle. I appreciate them giving 110%. You feel me? They lost Coach D. We lost Danny last year. So seeing both teams stay competitive and fight out to the end, I'm just happy that we was able to make it out on top. You know?
You earned it. I can't hear a word you're saying because of these guys.
They love you too. My boys love me so much, man. I love my boys. Shout out to the Pharaohs, you feel me? Shout out to the defensive MVP. Shout out to that whole fucking Shout out to that whole defense. They played their tails off for 60 minutes. Did not give up, did not let up every time that they made a big play. We stayed together. We knew that as long as we bend, don't break, that we were going to be able to make sure they don't score when it was crunch time. You know? Shout out to my guys.
This man is great. This man is great.
Appreciate y'all. I appreciate
Malachi, congratulations. Go enjoy this one with your team. You got it, man. You got it. We'll send it back up to Joe.
That was Dave and Malachi Bucknell, joined by quite a few Pharaohs who were showing off their dance moves in the background of that interview. They are celebrating a championship win here at Joseph F. Facina Field in the 2022 Elite Football Alliance finale. The Pharaohs defeat the Gators for the Elite Football Alliance Championship, but Dave isn't done yet. He is once again joined by Pharaohs head coach Julius Huesner, coming off of his team's championship victory. The Pharaohs make it back-to-back titles. Dave joined by Coach Huesner down on the field.
All right, we're back here. Brooklyn Pharaohs head coach Julius Huesner. Coach, you got to sweat this one out there towards the end. Did them bringing in the new quarterback in the fourth quarter, did that disrupt what you guys were doing defensively?
No, it doesn't matter which quarterback is in. It's all about our execution, making sure that we hit our assignments and making sure that we play with a lot of energy, as I said before in the beginning of the game. So, no, it doesn't really matter what quarterback. We're prepared for a mobile quarterback, traditional quarterback. It doesn't matter.
It looked to us, at least in the booth, that you made a real commitment to running the football early in this game. Was that something that you guys wanted to do early, run the football?
Yes, we wanted to try to control the clock a little bit, keep their offense off the field, which we were able to do. Today, we weren't able to punch it in. You know, there was a few times we were inside the red zone, and we didn't get the touchdowns like we really wanted to. But overall, the defense and our offense, you know, they came in and helped us out. So,
for a team as so prolific on offense as you are, how special was it to see your defense close this one out?
I say this with all modesty. We're a really good defense. We've done this before. This is not the first time we've closed out games. Actually, this is the fourth time this year we've had to close out a game. So, no, we're prepared for that.
Excellent. Well, Coach, congratulations. I know you've been down this road before, but go enjoy this one.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, we'll send it back up to Joe in the booth. Once again, the Brooklyn Pharaohs are the 2022 Elite Football Alliance champions.
That was Dave, joined by Pharaohs head coach Julius Huesner, but Dave has tracked down yet another guest, another defensive star in this game between the Pharaohs and the Gators. We saw him making big plays all season long. Dave is joined by Pharaohs running back defensive back, and at times wide receiver, Davin Collins. Dave, joined by Davin Collins, down on the field right now.
All right, we're here with Davin Collins here, part of the champion Brooklyn Pharaohs. And Davin, you gave us a show on week 1 when you took an interception to the house, a kickoff return to the house. But you guys have been making great plays all year long. How special is it to cap it off with a championship again?
Hey, man, it feels really good. First and foremost, I want to thank the organization, the Pharaohs, Coach Drew. The Gators are a great organization. They got a great dynasty going for them. But at the same time, being able to win this one was all about fighting against adversity, fighting against challenges, and being able to overcome any type of obstacles we came across. So it was actually, this meant a lot to us.
Yeah, speaking of adversity, you guys were up 18-6 at one point, but the Gators just would not go away. They scored that touchdown, improbable, 4th downs, conversions. It took your defense being on the field to shut this one out. Can you tell us a little bit about down the stretch, the resiliency, and the focus of the team to close this one out?
Yeah, so it's all about grit. And my defense really came and showed that we had lots and lots of grit, and who just wanted it more. And at some point within the game, we got to figure out that if offense ain't going to get it done, then defense is going to win these championships. And that's exactly the mentality we went into, was let's rely on our defense. Put on defense hands and win this game.
Excellent. It's been exciting watching you play, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Davin Collins, part of the Brooklyn Pharaohs 2022 Elite Football Alliance Championship.
Champs, baby.
One final word from the Gators head coach at the conclusion of his team season. They fall to the Pharaohs by just 2 points. Dave is joined by head coach of Harlem, David Patterson, down on the field.
All right, back here on the sideline with Harlem Gators head coach Dave Patterson. Dave, obviously not the final that you wanted, but some tremendous resilience from your team all season long, and especially today in the second half.
Absolutely. Hats off first and foremost to the Pharaohs organization. Great organization. Coach Jules is absolutely a phenomenal coach. He runs a great organization. That's the reason why they're national champs last year, and looking forward to seeing them defend it this year, 100%.
Yeah, seeing those 4th down conversions late, seeing you guys hang in there, scoring that late touchdown, and putting yourself in a position to win this game seemed improbable from where we were in the booth, but seemed like your team was calm, cool, and collected, gave yourselves a chance to win at the end.
Yeah, we finally calmed down. When you're playing for such a higher cause, it got to us. We were so emotional. We were almost running a little too hot. We were running way too hot. And by the time we were able to calm it down, in fact, we didn't lose. We just ran out of time. Right. Isn't that the old adage?
Right. Exactly. And, despite the sore feelings from a game like this and not coming on top, what can you say about your team all year long? And what's next for the Harlem Gators?
Oh, the team was there for Coach D, all 53. We did amazing things this year, off the field as well as on the field. Ultimately, the reason why Coach D did the Gators organization was to keep at least 53 guys off the street on any given Saturday or Sunday during the course of the season for 10 weeks. And that's what we did. So we carried on the tradition in his name. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. That's the old adage as well. Trying to throw out as many taglines because this one hurts. It absolutely hurts. But at the same time, that's why championships are so great. If they were so easy to get, then who would care? But yeah, this stings.
Yeah. Well, Coach, it was a tremendous game. Great watching your team play all year long. Congratulations on a great season. We've really loved watching you play this year.
And I appreciate your coverage. PDF did an amazing job. You guys, first rate, absolute amazing production, professionalism across the board. Look forward to work with you guys in the future.
Same here. Thank you. Harlem Gators head coach Dave Patterson on a great year here in the EFA.
Dave back with me up in the booth now as he got a word with some of the players and the head coach of the winning team as well as the head coach of the losing team. Brooklyn defeats Harlem in the Elite Football Alliance Championship by a final score of 18-16. Welcome back to the booth, Dave.
Thank you, Joe. That was pretty fun down there. I was getting caught up in a lot of the, obviously, the ceremonies and all the jubilation that came with the Pharaohs. Got a great interview with Dave Patterson as well, who basically reinforced his pride in his team and the way his team fought today.
And they certainly gave a very good accounting of themselves in this game and all season long as they played this 2022 season in honor of their late head coach, Coach D, Deron Hickman. The Pharaohs do ultimately defeat the Gators in the championship game here tonight. The Gators came up just 2 points short. It was a great effort from both teams. The Pharaohs clearly had the Gators well scouted. The Gators clearly had the Pharaohs well scouted. But I think what it came down to at the end of this game is that the Pharaohs were just able to run the ball so well for 4 quarters. That big pick six as well in the first half really hurt the Gators, and once they fell behind 2 possessions, it was going to be a tough road back regardless. They ultimately could not overcome the 2-possession deficit.
Yeah, you heard Coach Husner say it. They wanted to run the football, and the bottom line is they're a really good defensive team, and they know that they are, and they're comfortable with the game in the defense's hands. And, it got a little crazy there at the end. There was the Gators definitely had their opportunities there, but they feel comfortable in that, and that's the hallmark of a championship team, Joe. You don't succumb to the pressure. You stay loose. You stay confident. You stay within yourself. And the next thing you know, you're hoisting another trophy. So congratulations to the Brooklyn Pharaohs. 2 years in the EFA, 2 championships. So that's a pretty good resume right there.
And I don't want to spoil any of the information that we have regarding next season, but we'll see if any new challengers emerge for the Brooklyn Pharaohs in 2023. Of course, Dave and I sure hope to be back next season covering the Elite Football Alliance. It has been our pleasure to cover the EFA all season long here on the PDF Sports Network, and what better way to end the season than exactly where it began. A tremendous game here tonight. We opened the season 3 months ago here on July 30th. We ended here on October 30th. Dave, I'll give you the last word of the 2022 season. I know we have plenty of people to thank, both on our crew and with the Elite Football Alliance. I'll turn it over to you for that. Dave, take it away.
Well, I just wanted to say a big thank you to the EFA. Joe, when we started PDF Sports Network, you and I, of course, our partner Nick Durst, our vision was to bring life to leagues and organizations that we can't really see on television or on cable TV or on the internet with regularity. And I think that the EFA gave us that opportunity to enter into their domain, into their place of business, come on in, bring our crew in, and bring their product and showcase their talent to the world. And I think that we're starting to see that. We're starting to see people take notice of what the EFA is doing, and they should. These are young men who put their bodies on the line for the game of football, who enjoy the game. Some of them are moving on to other football opportunities in their lives. For some of them, this is their final opportunity for football in their life. But the one thing in common that they have is that they have this great respect for the game, this great respect for each other, and they entertain every single week. And we've enjoyed it week to week. We are very thankful for what the EFA has done for us. We hope that the feeling is mutual and that we've been able to do a good job in showcasing them. And you're right, Joe. We are really, really looking forward to a future with the EFA and doing bigger and bigger and better things. And if you've tuned into us all year long, you may notice the subtle little improvements that we try and do week to week. We promise you have seen the very tip of a massive iceberg, and we plan to showcase that as we go along. And of course, a lot of it is thanks to our great crew.
No doubt about that. Our engineer for much of the season, our engineer tonight, Louis Matrone, Patrick Fleming, our secondary camera operator, also did some work for us as an engineer, made his debut as an on-air personality. He went down to the field and got an explanation on that big controversial call in the Gators and the Bears game just a few weeks ago. Our camera operator, Patty Two Cams, Pat Gialorenzo, braving the elements tonight as it got very cold late in this game. The temperature must have dropped 20 degrees. Of course, my broadcast partner earlier in the season for that game against the Bears and one other game between the Gators and the Legion was Nick Durst. You'll get more accustomed to his voice moving forward as we bring you more coverage of the Elite Football Alliance next season. Hopefully, we do hope to have a future with the EFA, as Dave said, and potentially Nick will be working more closely with us on some other projects. Sunday's just very tough for him. Andrew Rotundo helped us out on engineering and camera earlier this season as well. A two-man crew with you and Andrew, Dave, right, all the way back early in the season in the game between the Bears and the New York Bandits. So once again, this has been Joe Foreman alongside my broadcast partner, David Pizzuto. And Dave, you get the final word. You brought us this opportunity. Thank you for everything that you've done for us here on PDF Sports Network this season. It's been a pleasure calling the EFA alongside you.
The pleasure's all mine, Joe. Thank you for everything that you have done. And, of course, everybody here at the PDF Sports Network thanks all of you at home for watching us all year long, for supporting the EFA, and, of course, for keeping interested in what we're doing moving forward. And we hope that you'll visit us online. All of our social media handles, pdfsportsnet.com is our web address, and, of course, PDF Sports Network on YouTube as well is where to find us. For our entire crew and our entire family, to yours, we thank you for joining us here on your home for the EFA, the PDF Sports Network.